I should go onto Facebook and promote this too.
Well, hello, welcome to a special edition of Out of the Basement. We're live again at Kessel Run. This is for the Warhammer 40k 8th edition. This is pretty big. It just dropped today. Oh, and there's Tyler. Hey. And that. Today I'm joined with Devrim, of course.
Of course.
You can't see on screen, but there's Joe at your top left there.
Hey, everybody.
In the Kessel Run shirt.
The Kessel Run shirt. He's playing versus Mike on the right-hand side of the screen. Where the painting is, that is Zach from Brushfire Painting.
Brushfire Studios, yeah.
Brushfire Studios. We'll just bring that up there. That's where he's going to be doing some painting for us and showing that. And also on next to him, which you can't see right now, is Jace, because no one wants to really see Jace.
That's okay. I have a face for radio.
That's exactly what you do. So there's been some rules, people have managed to read the rules in advance and stuff like that, but for most of us, this is pretty much new, and it's all dropped, and I have my own edition, which they've got my name on it and everything. So Joe and Mike have sort of already read the rules. We're going to be going through some games, and Zach will be talking about painting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And he already has some really awesome stuff done. Jace is just here to throw in some color commentary every now and then.
No, I'm not.
And of course, Devrim's, once he gets going, he can't stop talking.
Just can't stop the action.
Now, Joe and Mike, since you guys are the ones starting off there, you guys have been playing since what, 4th edition, 5th edition, I think it is?
Since Rogue Trader for me.
Oh my goodness! Wow,
Yeah.
You're a true original then.
Yeah.
He's all the way back.
Yeah, that was when it was more fluffy, wasn't it? Like it was like there was.
It was it was a lot more standardized. Probably the simplest version of it.
Yeah.
It started when guys started putting Space Marines into Warhammer Fantasy battles, and they're like, this could be a game.
Yeah.
So it kind of evolved from that.
And then, like, 3rd is where it sort of did a big changeover, isn't it?
Yeah, 3rd is it's when they made it a lot more simple, more standardized codexes for everybody.
Yeah.
Trying to get a younger crowd into it.
But since 3rd, there hasn't been any big changes. Like, nothing huge. There's been some modifications here and there. And
5th edition was pretty major.
Okay.
For vehicles. And then, for vehicles and how close combat worked, and then it kind of calmed down a bit in 6th, and then 7th was kind of like a 6.5. They tweaked a few things.
There's Joe showing off the.
For the first time.
Oh,
It's a blank page. Oh, baby, right there.
Spoilers.
That's your money.
You're playing your Tau, are you, Joe? Orcs today?
Yeah, so today it's been a few years, but I really wanted to get back into orcs, and here it is. All my boys, I blew the dust off them, and Zach over here is putting a little more red on them, and hey, we're loving the orcs in this edition.
And what are you playing there, Mike?
I've got the Imperial Guard on.
Oh,
sorry, I'm gonna get sued. The Astra Militarum.
Oh, yeah. Because you don't see too many people playing guards. Lately.
No, in 7th edition, I was kind of holding the fort for the club here, but in 8th, their infantry got dramatically better.
Yeah. Oh,
so I'm going to be showcasing a bit of that. Vehicles got way more expensive.
Oh, really?
Way more.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, because they're a lot more durable now, right?
They're more durable, but the firepower output doesn't change. So you're going to see, my prediction is you're going to see less vehicles, but vehicles that last longer.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's what we're talking about, because the whole some of the changes and stuff like that. And I can see Zach's working there. Now, of course, we're always at Kessel Run, as you can tell. They're really great staff people, and really, really appreciate them giving us this room to do the recording with and stuff like that. So, are we about ready to start? Oh, we have Xavier as well in the corner there. He's pretty quiet right now. And, all right, so Devrim, any comments or things you think we should start up?
I think we're ready to go. I'm just making sure that we
share
this and spread this out as much as we can over Facebook and other social media. So I'm just working on that right now while Pat takes the reins.
All right. So Zach is doing some touch-ups there. And I'm just going to switch to Zach's for a second there, just so we can get a bigger close-up there. Can we see one of the orcs there?
Where do you got it?
Right there, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty
Right
good.
here?
Yeah, there
Beauty.
we go. Yeah.
So these were something that I guess Joe picked up secondhand on Kijiji, so he just asked me to take a few of them and bring them up from something that maybe you'd see as a novice, as a novice painter. Get a little dry brushing in there and maybe a shade after your base color, and then just bring it up just to something that you'd be proud to put on the table.
And yeah, so we put a link on for when we were talking about this one, but Brushfire Studios is the ones that are doing this here. And because I'm a lazy guy, I like to pay people to do it for me, and it's high quality work. So, okay, so Joe and Mike, let's explain some of the differences. Does it change for starting, or is it still similar for starting off?
So if you don't mind, I'll take 2 minutes, Patrick.
Go ahead.
This right at Kessel Run, they have a few of the starter boxes, which are really great. For about 190 plus tax, you're going to get the full high quality hardback $70 book, plus 2 armies at about 500 plus points each, and a bunch of dice, and everything you really need to kick off with the Ultramarine, Space Marines, as well as the Chaos Death Guard. Just to quickly skip ahead, there's a lot of really great unboxing videos for both the starter kit and the new models and this rulebook. So we're not going to talk about that because that's a lot of time.
Yes.
Not wasted, but certainly not needed. I would say that there's a lot of amazing stuff to read, though. I mean, there's huge amount. I'm a pictures guy. I really honestly barely know how to read other than stat lines. So all this text for me is lost, but I look at that picture and I pretty much know everything that it's saying anyway. I'm just kidding. You should really learn how to read. I never did. But really, most of this rule book is awesome stuff for each of the major factions. And the rules are really tucked back right here. It's only like 20 pages.
So and it's all streamlined in one area now.
Way streamlined, way at the back. So you can flip through the cool pictures at the beginning. And then when you start getting into it, we're almost there. And here we go. 3 or 4 pages. That's it, the core rules. So all you need is, as soon as you see this page here, there's only war, and then boom, how to play the game. If you've played before, it's not drastically different, it's just a lot easier. So you can read these 20 pages of rules in about an hour plus a coffee, and then you could get playing right away. It's not that much. The concept hasn't really changed much in that there's a core set of rules that everyone must follow, and then there's some advanced rules if you want to play tournaments or matched play and not narrative games. So getting right into the major phases, it's very similar to 7th edition in that we have a movement phase, followed by the psychic phase, followed by 3, which is shooting, then 4, which is charging, 5, which is fighting, and then morale for all those phases has been lumped together at the very, very end of your turn, which is called the morale phase.
Nice.
So in 6 easy steps, you can get your turn done, and it's pretty sweet.
Oh, I do like how they put it all together there, as opposed to spread it out across the book, the other book.
Absolutely. So what we'll probably do is Mike and I do a small demo for you. We'll have the rules and the phases just off to the side, and as we do each one, we'll highlight the major changes. It's not going to be a rigorous tutorial by any means, but it just shows you how fast the game has now become, which is a lot of fun. So we'll just put the rules to the side, since we don't really, they're so easy you don't really need them often, unlike 7th edition when you had 3 books open all the time.
Codexes plus special rules. And that. Now, you guys are doing 500 points, or is it?
Yeah, no.
I actually just put stuff on.
Okay.
I have no idea how many points I am. I probably outpoint Joe heavily in this, but
That's how the orcs like it.
That's it.
yeah, there is.
Heavily
There's also a new way to play now by power level.
Yes.
So you'll see, especially narrative games will be going that way.
Jace
Smaller tournaments might do that as well.
Jace will be doing one later on, we hope, for a power one, so we'll discuss that one when he starts doing that there.
So with the main rule book here, you also then buy 1 or 2 or 3 of your indexes, depending on how many armies and how much money you love to give Games Workshop. There's now 5 different codices that actually have 3 or 4 units in them each. So I play Orcs and Tau, and I'm interested in Gene Stealer Cult, so that's how they get you.
Yeah.
So for the low cost of $30, you get 4 sets of rules all in one. It's all of the entries that you need for every single model in the GW lineup, and it includes things that Jace will go through, but the power levels are in the top. Your stat lines are here, which you'll notice if you look closely, which you can't because that's okay. But it's really changed. So you're definitely going to want to have one of these compendiums on hand in order to understand how your boys and all your troops and HQs react. The nice thing though is all your abilities are right in the entry. So no longer do you have to have the universal special rules open in page whatever 140 of the 7th edition book. You just leave your core rules there, pull up your data entry, and get rocking and rolling.
And if you're one of those people that has expendable income, the Forge World books are also coming out to support their line of models too. And Forge World models are now used interchangeably with 40k games. So,
Oh, good. That's
Are you live streaming right now?
yeah.
So just to quickly, I'll explain what I have. And you mentioned deployments, Patrick. There's actually there's a lot of great new deployment methods. We'll keep it really easy for this demo. It'll just be Dawn of War, 12 inches in, which we'll measure here in a minute from the sides. But there's 6 different deployment zones instead of 3 now.
Oh.
And on top of that, you're going to see your 6 missions from Eternal War, which do not use tactical objectives. Then you have your 6 Maelstrom missions, which do use tactical objectives. So all 12 missions are back. And then they've added a whole bunch for narrative play and a whole bunch for match play. It's literally the most amazing launch set of rules for novices and experts all in one. And the cool thing you'll really notice is you need the rule book open when you go through the setup because it's changed for the better. So as a quick example, I won't give it all away, but instead of Mike rolling off and I rolling off and whoever rolls first, deploys first, goes first, well, now it depends on how many kill points you have, and it depends on how many units you have. If you have a ton of units, you might actually go last because the other quicker, nimbler force has got to the battlefield, they're set, and they go. And the coolest thing I like about some of the deployments in the maps is instead of Mike deploying his entire army, what would actually happen is he deploys a unit, then I deploy a unit, then he picks any unit, he deploys it, then I pick a unit and deploy it. So it's actually back and forth, which makes it a lot less one-sided, a little bit more engaging, and it gives you a little bit more tactical flexibility as you're actually getting before you even start the game.
Also it does become sort of important now. What unit you put first?
That's right. You're not going to give away your key secret, secret infiltrators, or maybe you do.
Deploy and counter deploy now.
That works.
So I find that you're much more engaged with your opponent right from the very beginning.
And it looks like they're doing a lot more narrative stuff as well in this edition as opposed to the other ones.
Yeah,
I realize people love the narrative.
They're giving it kind of the same treatment they gave Age of Sigmar at release. So, the old Apocalypse battles from 7th edition, you could loosely lump them in as the new open play. So if you, go to the store and buy only your favorite models, yes, you can have, an Imperial Guard Chimera with Tyranid Gene Stealers and, an Eldar jet bike.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see that ever for competitive play. Then they took the narrative play aspect from Age of Sigmar, where it's, you're trying to accomplish a certain task, and it's more like story driven than a competitive game again. And then match play is where you're going to see all the diehard tournament guys. And, organized events will probably follow the match play, but the scenarios from narrative play can also be played on a competitive basis too.
So I think what you're also going to see in, like as an example, Patrick and I were talking about doing an Apocalypse game for 7th.
Yes.
Well, they've actually put in like all those Planet Strike, the Urban Warfare, your Cities of Death. They've taken all those separate books and actually put it right into the end of this book.
It's just back here in the advanced rules section.
So you got yourself like $150 of free books and gameplay, and as a tournament organizer or someone that wants to run a campaign, it's amazing. Just spend that extra hour reading those rules, pull a few together, maybe start without some recce patrols, kind of like this size of game would be like a patrol, and then ramp it right up to a full-on war, and all of a sudden, you got a whole bunch of friends getting together for a few hours for a campaign once a week, and everyone has a ton of fun. It has a mission, it has an objective, and it's good. So just to streamline it, I'll just quickly explain what forces I have and maybe some of the major changes. We aren't going to do it for each army because there's a ton of them. But just to talk about the major differences for orcs. So the boys are still 6 points. They actually went up to strength 4 base instead of strength 3. And the most important thing about the boy is that its leadership is now tied into the size of its squad. The reason why I stopped playing orcs was because the leadership literally killed off the large boys. You could have 25 guys run off the table for pretty much no good reason at all. There's a war boss there which should have just killed a few guys and then went back into battle. That didn't happen. Now with this edition, the boys' morale is based on the unit size, so they're almost always fearless, which is no longer a rule, but they're almost always on the board, and if you have a war boss within a few inches of this unit, all of a sudden he goes, ha, and he grabs one with his power claw, he cuts his head off, and then they just keep fighting.
That's perfect, because it's similar to the way the guard does with the commissar. Oh, you're breaking?
I think so.
Yes.
So
now
get back and fight. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that word?
Commissar?
Commissar?
Yeah.
You too.
Yeah,
so the next thing, so the boys are really great. If they're in a unit of 20 more, they have +1 attack, which is pretty cool. If they're with a really big HQ, which this isn't, he gets +1 attack on the charge.
Oh, wow.
So there's actually a way of getting one boy to have 5 attacks on the charge, which is fantastic.
I think I'm going to like my orcs again.
Yeah, orcs are fun. The
And now
next
that you're-
major change is that his power claw, which always used to strike at the very end, is now just -1 to hit. So instead of there's no more initiative steps at all, and instead of him hitting on 3s, his power claw hits on 4s. So 50% of his attacks hit, and they squish a guy before he gets to hit you back. Which
Well,
is
that's
kinda
good, 'cause,
fun.
yeah, that was one of the worst things with the big weapons is like, oh, I'm moving initiative 1.
Yeah.
Everything else goes first, and I'll just sit here and wait.
And
Yeah.
you hope that your army
And
doesn't
hope
get
that- yeah,
decimated.
exactly.
You hope that some sergeant with a chainsaw doesn't rip you in half before you even get a chance to swing,
Yeah.
which is always kind of a pain in the butt. So the next big thing, I'll just quickly go through the HQs. So I obviously have a war boss on foot with a power claw. He has the Wah ability, and it's not limited to 1 turn anymore, or the first turn. What the Wah allows you to do is, if the war boss is close to the unit, you get to move and advance, all in the movement phase now. So you basically get to move and run in the movement phase, and you still get to charge. So you definitely want a war boss with your boys, and you get to do that every turn.
Every turn.
So
Okay, orcs are going
it's going to be pretty good. So
if
sometimes you
you're
roll a
moving-
1 and it won't do anything,
Yeah.
but sometimes you get a sweet, sweet 6.
And then you're just like,
And all of a sudden you're up the table and diddle up the middle.
So if you're going second against an aggressive army, which is also moving to close the distance, you could have a first turn charge.
You will have
It's
a first
almost-
Oh
turn
my
charge.
god, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's almost guaranteed. Now.
So I played 3 quick games of, and I use the word liberally quick because it was a 2-hour game with a 2,000 point list.
Wow.
2,000
And
points?
every single of the 3 games, I was either charged first turn or got the charge first turn.
Okay.
So it's going to be, no longer is a model going to stay on the table for the whole game. You are going to be
Yes.
literally pulling models off, like, and throwing them over your shoulder and into a bag because,
So it's kind of like an apocalypse game at that point.
like, if these models could bleed, which they probably should, there would be blood everywhere. It's going to be amazing. So really quickly, I did bring a pain boy. If he's within 3 inches or 6 inches of a unit, they get a feel no pain equivalent. It's no longer a universal rule, but he gives it to the units, and it's a 6 up, not a 5 up. So he's kind of handy just to give their t-shirts a little extra thickness.
Exactly, yeah.
And lastly, just to show the psychic phase, I did bring a weird boy, which is the only psyker for the orcs. He has, you get, automatically you have the smite special rule, which all psychers can get pretty
That's
much.
news, exactly. Yeah.
And then +1 from my orc codex. So there's only 2, 3, or 4, or 5 psychic powers per army right now. So it's not like 20 or 30 to pick from. It's very small, but it's fun. Smite is awesome.
Yes.
And then he also gets a rule that can either give +1 attacks to a unit within 6, which is nice, or he can actually give a jump, which means he selects a unit within 6, and they get to jump anywhere on the table 9 inches away from the unit. So
wow.
you could potentially move 30 boys or a Stompa off to the far corner, as long as you're 9 inches away from the enemy.
Okay,
Wow.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit of a shock to the guard. A Stompa just showing up.
Yeah,
that would,
so
that would ruin my
I won't,
day.
Yeah.
I won't go over any more rules because there's a ton of them in here.
Yes.
But trucks are still trucks. They're just more expensive but a lot more durable. So we'll show how they're more durable during the game. And then Ludas, and that is it. And yeah, any questions before we launch to Mike?
No, that's like we're going to be talking about during the game, so that's pretty good there. Yeah, we'll go to Mike now just to give his.
Yeah, so I've taken a guard army that you might recognize from 7th with some major changes here. Company commanders are now a single model. You don't get your command squad anymore.
Oh.
Command squad is still an option,
Yeah.
but they're now an elite's choice. So with the characters no longer being able to be picked out of combat, I can safely leave him behind another unit.
And not worry
And
about it.
he's safe in the shooting phase. He can't be targeted unless he's the closest model, or unless he has more than 10 wounds, which no guard model will ever have more than 10 wounds. With the exception of vehicles, like the Chimera here, now has wounds.
Yes, exactly. That's the
Rather than
biggest
armor
changes.
value. And with the simplified rules, especially for movement, you're going to see people doing gamey things like driving their tanks sideways down the table, because now where your guns are on the vehicle does not matter for line of sight and for shooting.
Oh, so they finally
if-
realized a tank can.
Yeah.
They swivel. They're
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword now because, for example, putting my tank beside this ruins here, if any point of my tank can see his models, I can now shoot all my guns from that point.
okay.
So if I poke one track link around the corner, all my guns can now target him.
Yeah.
And from return fire, I'd count as being in cover because I'm 50% obscure.
Well, that's actually pretty. That's an advantage for vehicles. It's a big advantage.
It's
for
a
vehicles.
big advantage for vehicles. It's a step backwards in realism, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wait, you
But-
got your tread showing how you shooting all the weapons.
Right. I've never seen a tread with a gun on it. kind of counterintuitive. I also brought a Psyker. I brought the Primaris Psyker here now, just to demonstrate the Psychic phase. One cool thing about Imperium is everything in the Imperium shares the faction keyword Imperium. So in one detachment, I could have Space Marine allies. I could have Sisters of Battle in there as well. I use the word allies, and that's a mistake because allies no longer exist.
Well, they don't.
So if you don't share a single keyword, for example, orcs, there is no way in the game for match play that they can include Necrons or Tyranid allies.
Oh, okay.
That's
gone
totally
completely.
That's totally gone. So you're not going to see any more Tau Eldar ridiculousness.
So just really quickly, if you look at faction words on the bottom, every single one of them says like Tyranids or Orcs or Imperium, and that's the keyword, and you must have that keyword in order to work together to be battle forged. So these words at the bottom are pretty important on how you build your detachment.
So Imperium players get friends and nobody else does, just like in real life.
Well, I was going to say, as gamers, how many friends do you sometimes get? But that's it.
This is
Now,
I think all of them are sitting around the table, actually.
now I'm guessing that Eldar and Dark Eldar though will still be able to.
A lot of the Eldar stuff, Harlequins. There are Drukhari. They've renamed almost everything I've just said to support their trademark franchise.
Not Harlequins.
Harlequins kept their name, but the other Eldar or Dark Eldar are now all renamed. And don't quote me on this, but I think there are ways that you can find a faction keyword to put those guys together. That's kind of how they're moving their storyline fluff now.
Okay.
Other things, Guard also no longer get platoons anymore. So people are probably looking at this being like, why is there not much infantry? It's because now every group of 10 guardsmen is a troop choice. So you'll see there's different ways to build your army when you get to the detachments. And Guard can make huge detachments very, very cheaply. I'll just double check here. I know that conscripts are now only 3 points a model. So
But
later
they're
on,
so worthwhile to have.
Well,
you put them out front,
I know,
and they're basically a blade of armor for you.
yeah, you keep them to keep your characters safe, and then the Guard orders now go off automatically. So you can issue a 50-man unit, first rank fire, second rank fire, giving each one of your models 4 shots. So
that's an improvement over the Guard.
That's 200 dice.
that's well, in a 50-man squad, it's
Yeah.
200 dice.
That's going to rip anything apart. Nothing's going to survive that.
Well, yes.
Well, I mean, they're only hitting on 5s, and they'll be wounding real targets on 6s.
Right.
So, I mean, Math Hammer says you could still do approximately like 30 wounds. So it's
Still awesome.
it's
Yeah.
it's still awesome.
Well, it's a big. I mean, that's the thing about the Guard, right? They are trained. They are supposed to be able to be trained to lay down lots of fire.
yeah.
Right. And the bigger the group is, the more effective they
Yes.
become.
Yeah.
And especially with the changes now in close combat, which hopefully you'll see if Joe doesn't wipe me out in one go here.
Yes.
A big unit like conscripts is great for running ahead of the army. They take the charges,
Yes.
they take the casualties. Then you can, with the Guard orders, you can pull them back and issue the order, get back in the fight. So they're going to pull back so that they're out of combat, turn around, or they're going to fall back so they're out of combat, turn around, and then immediately shoot you up again.
Yes, that's something else new. That's the fallback. Or
So, yeah,
Re-
most times you
whatever it is you want.
you can't do that. You can always fall back, but Guard can then shoot if they have orders left to give.
well, it's also so they don't have to worry about the dice anymore for the leadership of commands given by the Guard. It's like, oh, do I follow it or not? Or
So yeah, the leadership they also have a unique way to handle that. So they're not immune to leadership. It's just if you have a commissar, which is this guy here, they can only ever fail by 1. So if you have that conscript squad and they take 45 casualties, they'll never pass their leadership, which is now 4. But the commissar just kills one of them, and then the other ones don't run away.
That is amazing.
That's really
Like, if you have a
really
massive
good.
blob and only lose one guy who gets shot in the head with a pistol, and everyone else keeps fighting, that's awesome.
yeah. Well, it's same for your orcs, isn't it? Is that?
Almost, yeah. I mean, it really makes all of a sudden large scale warfare with tons of infantry is not a problem anymore. It was a big issue before, and
well,
now
it
it's
didn't make sense to have. It didn't really. There was no advantage to it.
that's right.
Yeah,
and the best part is instead of doing leadership every phase, it's all at the end under a single roll, and it's simple. So not only are you saving time, but you're not having to remember that all of a sudden you lost 1 Luda out of 5 in the shooting phase, and then every phase you have to keep dinking around with it. It's just once. It's nice.
You're going to find, we're kind of hinting at it a little bit here, but in 8th edition, infantry is going to be the king of battle again. You're going to see a lot of changes. What do you think, Joe? You want to crack on and get started here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you guys want
I'd
to
say-
stay with your deployment, or you want to start
So-
showing the deployment, the new deployments part of it, or?
I say
Yeah.
just for demo purposes, we'll just keep the models on the table
Sure, no,
here.
that's fine. Yeah, that's. Yeah.
Just to speed it up.
Yeah.
The purists out there won't like it, but take that, internet.
Oh, sorry, I meant.
So there are a ton of missions, at least 18 plus missions, and 6 different deployment zones. So you do the quick math, there's like over 120 variations of how to play, so it's really cool. But yeah, I think just for the demo purposes, I'll talk as I'm moving things. I'll take the first turn just so I can move up. He can shoot the crap out of me, and then I'll get to charge in my second turn. And I think that'll show the major mechanic pieces.
Yes.
So without further ado, at the movement phase, I'm going to choose to both move and advance. The advance is the old run, so you build it all into the movement phase now. It's not in the shooting at all. So I want to advance my boys, so I roll a dice, and I move 4 plus my base move of 5, so I'm going 9.
Oh, so your base move is now 5 instead of 6.
It's 5, yeah.
It's per data slate.
No, that's me. That's,
yeah,
that's
you'll
the
see,
other
like,
big one is the movement change.
Yeah,
not
there's-
everybody has the same movement.
everything has a characteristic now. So you'll see like my Sentinels have 9, and then when they take damage, well, Sentinel's a bad example, but certain vehicles when they take damage they get slower.
Well, no, but it makes sense because orcs are not supposed to be as fast as Space Marine.
Right, a Space Marine, Tactical Marine, for example, would move 6.
Yeah.
And even within their codex, the Terminators are in heavier armor, so they move 5.
Yeah, which makes sense.
And then you can compare it to
Eldar
jet bikes that move like 17 or 18.
So I have to explain one really quick thing. The reason why these orc boys are close together is because there's no longer large, small, and template blast weapons. So all of a sudden, I don't need to keep my guys spread out to avoid those big pie plates. I can really just push them together. And we'll get into it when he shoots me with some heavy weapons, but that's why these guys are clumped together, because it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly run with my war boss. He goes 2, so 7. Good thing he just goes right there. And then my pain boy, Mad Doc, there only goes 1, so 6. Which is why you got to be careful not to get him too far ahead. And the weird boy will go 3 and right up behind. So what I should have done is just left a couple trailing guys just to make sure you're always within the aura of the unit. That was my mistake, but just really quickly changing it. Then that way, no matter how much your characters, your 3 HQs, your characters roll, you always have a link back to the unit. So that's my movement for these big boys. My trucks, almost all vehicles now move 12 inches, but they have a whole bunch of changes. Now vehicles have toughness values, which we'll get into later, but my core movement without any damage is 12. So I just go vroom, right there. Actually, I'll advance it too. I should have done that. So I go 6. So now all of a sudden, I'm going 18 inches. Now this is a tank trap, which means you're actually, as a vehicle, you can't physically go through it, but that's okay. I'll just...
Are tank traps still a thing?
They are, yeah. They're called obstacles now. So obstacles can be either an obstacle against infantry or an obstacle against any other keyword except fly, because an airplane's not going to care if you have a tank trap.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much it for the movement phase. It was pretty straightforward. What I'm going to do is I gave, I think it's I gave these guys the jump. So what I'm going to do right now is there's no longer a pool of dice. You literally just roll 2 dice for each psychic power, and psychic powers range from roughly a 5 warp charge all the way up to maybe like an 8 or 9. The jump is a warp charge 7, so I need to either get 7 or better. I get it, so it goes off. Now his psyker is, we'll say, within 2 feet, so it's going to conduct a Deny the Witch.
Deny the Witch.
So all he has to do is beat my 7 on 2 dice.
Can I steal some dice off your Jim?
Yeah, of course. So he just rolls 2 if he gets an 8 or better, which he doesn't in this case because that's a 1.
That's a 1.
But it's very simple. 1 psyker per phase can Deny the Witch. So if he had 3 psychers, he could have, and I cast 3 different powers, which I can't with this one guy, but he'd be able to deny it once per psyker. There's a couple buffs.
That's not true. So my one psyker.
power.
Yeah, so you can only cast 1 psychic power per psyker. even if I had 12 psychers, I could only make one deny the witch attempt
Against per power.
per power.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, but so if you had three, there's several ones. So you had three.
Yeah,
you
if
could
he's-
try for each, like.
As long as I still have psychers to do it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get one cast and one dispel per power attempted.
Actually, it all depends on the psyker profile itself.
Yeah, there
Some
are
will
some that
say
can
you
cast more than
two,
one
some will
spell.
say-
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know if there's any right now that say you can deny two, but it specifically states you can deny one power.
Yeah, those.
Depending on that.
That's the data slate thing again.
Yeah.
The data slates will override rule changes from the book.
The big thing is that some armies don't have any psychers. Like I play Tau, and there's no way to deny the witch from anything I've found so far in these core rules. So it's not a problem. It's just keep in mind that you used to be able to deny the witch even if you were just like a
No
crappy
psychers.
no psycher,
Yeah.
and now
Necrons are also going to struggle with that.
yeah, there's gonna be some struggling.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't think the Necrons are gonna have robotic tiers too much because they have a lot of other awesome rules.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. So that was easy. I did get it. I will do something pretty cool. So in my psychic phase, I'm going to choose to jump the unit of. I don't want to do the boys because that'll mess things up. I'm going to, whatever, for the heck of it, choose to.
Do it to your war boss. Let's get a
Even when
combat
it
going.
comes to green.
Yeah, so I'll jump the war boss just for the heck of it.
Yeah,
He has to be
just
9
see-
inches from a unit because it's kind of like deep strike, but it's not. You don't actually roll for deep striking anymore. So he's just going to put that war boss 9 inches away from that vehicle,
And it's automatic. There's no.
and you
worries
just
about
go.
it.
You just go.
Yeah,
Now,
there's
can you do a
there's-
vehicle as well, or is there a certain size limit for the jump?
It might say on the
It
keyword.
says keyword infantry,
Okay.
so any infantry model. There are some vehicles that may be considered infantry, but probably rarely. For me, no, as an orc.
Where are the killer cans now? They're still vehicle, right?
Their vehicle, yeah.
I think they're-
and
yeah.
The
and
dreads are.
there's stuff like
The dreads are walkers, so they.
their vehicles.
They're vehicles,
Yeah.
yeah.
Walker is no longer.
Walkers no longer a thing?
No, Walker's
I
not a
think
thing
they
anymore.
took
You're
out
either
quite a few.
yeah. There's a lot of the types have been dropped just in favor of keywords. So another example would be Joe's orc bikers will not be infantry. Their keyword will be bike.
Biker.
Okay.
Yeah, or biker. Yeah.
So I have no more psychic phase at all, so that's pretty simple. My war boss just took a giant leap, teleporting over there, probably to his death, but we'll see. It should be fun. And that might have been a bad idea, but that's okay. We'll just do it for the hell of it. It's just for the heck of it.
That's why I
It's
suggested.
an orc war boss. Orc war boss. Come
Yeah.
on. He's like, I
Might-
want to go crush
Might as well try, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's brainless.
He wants to go collect some teeth.
So in the shooting phase, these guys have pistols which are only 12, so obviously they can't do too much. There's ways to both advance and shoot assault weapons. So if I had brought some big shooters, they have a 36-inch range, and instead of hitting on 5s for my orcs, I just hit on 6s. So you can actually advance in your movement phase and still shoot with assault weapons, and in some cases even with rapid fire, but rarely.
Yeah, but it's hard.
But almost all assault weapons can by default. So all those hip shooting big shooters or big bolt, heavy bolt, maybe not heavy bolters, but
heavy bolters.
other assault weapons,
That
you
is
can
a nice
shoot as
change.
well.
Yeah, your melta-guns, your flamers, your plasma.
Yeah.
Plasma's rapid fire, but anything that has assault in it, you can advance and fire with the -1 penalty.
That's
So,
fine.
so
Yeah.
here's the really cool part. These guys can't do anything, but my truck, who is open-topped, has 5 burners in it, and the burners are able to basically, they are assault weapons. So normally assault weapons would be a -1 to hit, but the cool thing about almost every flamer I've seen, we'll just say it's within 8, yeah, should be a couple.
We'll make you within 8.
Within 8.
Just so you
so,
do- just so you do that.
so the nice thing about burners is that they're a flamer that auto hits. So instead of actually having the -1, I roll, for these guys it's only D3, but for most other burners or flamers it's D6. So this unit of 5 gets D3 shots each. So it gets 3, which is 2 shots per model. So I actually just got 10 hits. Boom. Just like that. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 burning shots just hit this squad here. I'm strength 4 against his toughness 3.
Yeah.
So the toughnesses and all the strengths it's now really simple. There's 5 categories. It's you either match the strength and toughness, so you roll and hit on 4s, or you wound on 3s if you're greater strength, but less than half. If you're double the strength, you wound on 2s. If you're less strength, you wound on 5s, and if you're less than half strength or equal to half strength, you wound on 5s. So there's only 6s. So there's only 5 things to remember now, not like an entire table of 9 by 9 or whatever it was. Super, super simple. So my strength is greater than 1, I wound on 3s. So all of a sudden I have 6 wounds to his unit, and there's no more ignoring cover with my burners. Maybe other
no.
burners do.
There's Ignores cover it's
Rare.
data slate by data slate, and it's a lot more rare.
Yeah.
Even regular flamers no longer ignore cover.
So
Sorry, because this is a quick one. Robert. Do anyone have an example of a data sheet? Do you guys have any data sheets right now?
Yeah,
or-
just take one of those
I'll,
hooks,
okay.
and there you go.
Now
There you
you
go.
can buy. Can you get these
what
separately?
they look
Like
No.
you can't. You
Not
can't buy.
that, supposedly with the new sets that are going to be coming out from Games Workshop, if there are new models coming out, they said that they would be including data sheets in each new box.
Yeah.
But they haven't. No new boxes have yet been announced for individual models.
Yeah, with the exception of the starter box. So the starter box brings in the Primaris Marines and
Yeah,
the new
that'll
Death Guard Marines.
Comes with this handy little primer
So
there.
all your data slates will
Oh,
be
okay.
in there.
Good. That's yeah.
And more art as well.
Oh,
Which makes Joe happy.
always. I can't read, but this is AP -1. I understand that, and that's what it is. So the cool part is there's really the cover's a lot harder to get, and it's a lot less powerful, and it's really cool. And when we get a full example of how it works, we will we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But in fact, did you want to put these guys just in the barricade so they do get their cover saved?
Yeah,
like
go
an
ahead.
additional
All right,
cover? Do you want to
yeah.
just move them forward?
We'll
So-
we'll shake and fake it a little here.
So we'll fake it a little bit.
What's all for the first ones is for to show things out because we're not going to be like I know the tournament boys will be like they can't
Yeah.
move stuff like that.
So-
We're testing it out.
Here's a couple things with cover. Right now, even though I have 9 out of 10 of my models in the cover, I don't get the benefit from being in cover.
Oh no.
No, I'd have to have all 10, so I'm not in cover now. Now I'm in cover. It's very, very simplified. So what I would get in this case would be a +1 to my armor save. So dramatic differences to cover. Joe, how many wounds did you do?
It was 6 wounds, my man.
6 wounds. Can I get 4 more dice off your
Oh man, I'm orcs. I always carry dice. There you go.
I'm guard. I'll need all of them for the shooting phase, but okay. So he did 6. I'll just grab 6 dice.
So really
So-
quick before he rolls,
I would have to allocate the wound. All of my models, except the weapon teams, have 1 wound, so that's why I'm not allocating each one individually because excess damage doesn't float over. So this is a damage 1 weapon, Joe.
yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead and make saves. So off of 4s or better. So typical guard fashion, they
I gave him all the bad dice. Did
Yeah.
you see that?
so in typical guard fashion they poop the bed on that one. So 5 of them die. I get to assign the wounds where I want.
Well, they don't just die. They burn to promethium and
Yeah.
horribly.
So they got liquefied for the Emperor. So I'll just
They're
put them
fresh
over here.
chicken for the orcs.
Yep. Oh yes. It's barbecue season.
So one
So there's 5 casualties.
huge change that you really have to pay attention to that Mike mentioned, but it's worth mentioning again, is that there's no longer either an armor save or an invulnerable save or a cover save.
Right.
There's actually pretty much your cover has been added into your armor save.
Yeah.
So invul is invul as it always has been. Say if you have a 4-up invul, there's very few things that can go past an invul save except for mortal wounds, which we'll get to later. But if you have a 5-up armor save, which these guard do, and your entire unit is in cover, whether it's a building, a ruin, or on trees, you only get +1 cover. But that goes onto your armor save. So all of a sudden your 5-up armor becomes a 4-up
So instead of
armor.
having to roll separately, decide I'm going to roll cover
Or armor, they lumped it together.
So
which
now
makes much more sense.
it does. It helps elite units. So like say that you have a 3-up save. Now you're a 2-up save.
Yeah, that's just,
So it helps them a lot more than it would help my guard infantry. So it helps more elite, more heavily armored guys.
hey, your
more-
poor little guards are happy to get that
Yeah.
extra.
No.
save.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's more helpful mathematically on better units, right?
Well, yeah, because like you said, you go from 2 or 3 to a 2.
Go from
Yeah.
3
or
to
from a
2.
2 to a 1.
Right, but one still
Well, one still
fails.
fail,
So
but
with
yeah.
other modifiers, it could be adjusted. But
So
Yeah.
here's the next piece to it. So not only does he get his 4-up armor save, but the armor penetration or rending value of my weapon was 0. So it doesn't do anything to that save. But automatically, if my weapons had been -1, all of a sudden, my armor penetration would have actually taken away 1 point of his save, even though it's a combined armor plus cover save. So if you have some of your more stronger weapons, like maybe a heavy bolter with lots of shots or a last cannon, which are -1, -2, -3, -4, he would have maybe got no save at all, even though he was in cover, and that's a big change.
Well, because it just
It's
plows
all in
through.
one. It
goes
plows right through that little thin wall and goes
Yeah.
right into his face.
yeah.
So the cool thing is you have to think about less things, And having units in cover that are small units, like maybe Ludas, is good. It actually does give you a little bit of a benefit. But if you have a large blob of boys, I don't give a crap about cover because I need to get into his face, and there's no way in heck that I'm able to get 30 boys into one piece of cover and not have one guy have his butt hanging up.
Right.
So
and like
it
you
won't
said,
matter.
since they don't have the templates anymore, you don't care about.
Don't care. Just plow straight ahead. So
I actually really miss templates. That's one of my favorite parts.
As a guard player, I miss templates too.
And as a non-template player, I love that they're gone because no longer is it like, I'm flipping this 25 times and 3,000 wounds. You're all dead. I'm like, how did that happen? So that's good for me.
Right,
so really quickly, go ahead.
You did your shooting phase.
I'm going to shoot some Ludas.
Okay.
What is the armor value or toughness value of your models? Is it 6 maybe?
I believe it's only 5. Give me a
Ooh, okay. So that's close enough for me. So my Ludas have a rule where they're heavy 3. So I roll 1 dice for all 5 guys, and it's going to be 4, which is 2 shots per model. I again have 5 guys, so that's 10 shots. Orcs are bad at shooting, so they only hit on 5 ups, which is cool. So 5 up against one of his sentinels, the closest one there. And 1, 2, 3 hits. No, 4. I got 4 hits.
All right.
I'm strength 7, which is greater than his toughness 5, but I'm not double, so it's just a 3 to wound. Boom, 3s. Oh, 4 wounds.
Well, those orcs are doing well there.
They're doing okay, and I have to double check because I didn't even think I was going to hit at all. I think they're actually -1.
And I was going to say, while you're looking that up there, Joe, after the first turn, if you don't mind, we're going to talk to Zach for a bit.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Sounds good to me.
So at -1, he gets his armor save, which now vehicles get armor saves, people.
Yes,
that's cool.
that is new.
And if you're a land raider, it's a 2, which is kind of BS. But anyway, that's
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. So those land raider people out there and your 2-up saves, fancy smancy.
Well, for like almost 500 points, you need
True.
something like that. They used to basically get hit 2-3 times, a couple glancing wounds, all of a sudden they're out of the fight, which made no sense.
But now they're a 300 to 400 point tax depending on how you kit them out and variants. But you can be happy that you now have something that will never die in a game.
Yeah.
They're going to be very, very hard, and mathematically, yes, they can die, but then your opponent is putting so much firepower into it that they're doing their job anyway.
See, part of me misses because tanks auto kills make sense. Like you can get that lucky hit on any vehicle, so part of me misses that auto hit. But I understand where they're coming from because people are putting a lot of points on the
exactly. Yeah, the vehicle rules are easily one of the biggest changes from 7th to 8th.
Yeah. So we'll take a half second just to show that. And I know it might be hard to read, but just important right up in here. This is really neat. If your wounds go down, automatically, pretty much for every army, if you're below half your starting wounds, which for a battle wagon is 16, the moment you go down to 7, my move, my strength, and my attacks, did you hear that as a vehicle? Attacks, cool. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Those attacks go down slowly. So in this case, a battle wagon, as it takes more damage, it gets less powerful.
Which that works. Okay.
In his case, it's strength and attacks that go down. Sometimes it's your weapon skill or ballista skill, but almost always your move goes down. So automatically, if my battle wagon had 3 wounds left, his going half the speed. So he's really limping into battle further. But the cool thing is now, and we'll maybe see it next turn, is my truck and his trucks can assault my units, which is totally cool.
Oh, that is, yes.
Very, very cool. So I am done my shooting, pretty much.
How many wounds did you
It was 4 wounds at -1.
At -1. So the Sentinels have a 4-up save. So at -1, I'm not in cover. I just get my 5-up save now.
Okay.
And I make none of them because Joe's dice hate me.
So I gave him all the bad dice. I already told you this. So it's at least everyone
Is
knows.
there something new now where damage doesn't... You have the... One unit gets killed first, and then the damage goes on to another one, or is it...
A little bit, yeah. Absolutely.
So the Guard is a tricky example because you buy your units as squadrons for your vehicles, or you can.
Yeah.
But once they deploy, from that point on, they treat as individual vehicles.
Oh, really?
So this guy will likely be destroyed, but the excess damage will not float into my squadron like it did in 7th.
Okay.
So all those Ludas are only going to be able to kill the one tank, unless Joe decided to take 3 or 4 of them and shoot this one, and 2 of them and shoot another one.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't. There's no spillover. It's like that unit, vehicle.
It's its own model.
It's its own model.
By itself, hanging out in the world by itself,
So
which is good.
How many damage do each one of your shots do?
So this is the cool part. My Ludas are a little bit more powerful than anything else that I shot, and they're actually damage 2 per wound, and I caused 4 wounds. So
So
it's
that would be 8 damage. A sentinel only has 6 wounds, so this sentinel is removed. And in some scenarios, that would give Joe the first blood advantage.
yeah.
Yeah, oh, for true. Yeah.
So the next thing I'll just mention, but I didn't do, is Mike was saying, if I had 10 Ludus here, why would I shoot all 10 at just one Sentinel?
Right.
When it's my turn, I can actually choose, each model can shoot a different unit now. They all have split fire, every
Well,
single model.
That's
It's
huge.
not the same split fire rule, it's just
But no, it's
you
still
can
big.
individually target
No,
your
but it
weapons.
makes more sense now as opposed to
Yeah.
oh, we're all shooting. Especially now that one unit dies, you're like, oh, I just wasted 6 other guys.
Yeah.
See, the way that they counter that is you have to declare all of your shooting before you start rolling dice.
Yeah.
So he can't do 2 Ludus, see how it goes, and
No,
then
no, no.
allocate the
But
rest.
that's
Yeah,
still
so
that makes sense. But it's still
it's a solid strategy.
It's
yeah.
really fantastic for a tactical marine squad of 5. 4 of them have bolt rifles or bolt somethings,
Bolt
and they
guns.
shoot a infantry unit, and then you have that sweet plasma gun that's close to a mega knob, and you're like,
Yeah.
I want my plasma to shoot the mega knob.
Yeah, I'm not gonna shoot
In
the
7th
ghosts
edition,
because-
that rarely happened.
Yeah.
In 8th edition, every time, all the time.
Great.
Every unit, no special rule required.
So how does that affect, say, the split fire rule the Longfangs had, though? So Space Wolves had a special unit that had this special ability. Yes, sorry, wrong camera. So Space Wolves had a special ability called split fire with their Longfang units, who were range combat specialists, and they could, in 7th edition and previously, basically target 2 separate units with their army at the same time. Sorry, with that Longfang unit.
Joe is just double checking that particular index, which is the new codexes, but so now every unit can do that. Long Fangs will probably have something to make them
A new
better
special.
at it,
Okay.
or a new special rule. Joe's just double checking.
So you're 100% right. What happened is now that every single model in the game, regardless of how much it costs or what faction it's from, has that rule, it's kind of lost its flavor, right?
Sure.
In fact, it doesn't exist anymore. What came up is a special rule to replace it, which is called Fire Discipline. And basically, the Long Fangs, when they activate, they choose one unit that they're going to shoot at, and that unit you can reroll 1s against.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can still have, say, 3 missiles shooting 1 unit and reroll 1s, and another 2 missiles shooting frag at some infantry.
Nice.
And that's how they kind of
The
made it.
reroll
Okay.
ones is nice.
Well, especially when you're rocking plasma cannons.
Yes.
So you're not,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
not getting
for
hot.
sure.
You get to re-roll it. So
So that's it
Very
for my
nice.
shooting. Not too bad. I took out a few guys plus a sentinel, and that was about as much as orcs are expected to do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and that really quickly. So at the end, I have no assaults. No, maybe I will assault with the
Yeah.
truck. Should I try it?
Yeah, you
at the
can.
back or no? Just
Yeah,
leave
why-
it. Leave it for
No,
now.
no. That's not the truck.
if you want to assault with the vehicle, that's
Well, let
an
me actually
option.
put the war boss in. We'll leave
Yeah.
the vehicle for now because I want you to destroy it. So I'm going to try and charge my war boss. Every single orc infantry unit that's like an orc has a special called Here We Go, and allows you to re-roll a failed charge. So you no longer can roll a 6 and a 1 and choose to just re-roll the 1. And try and get a better result.
It has to be a fail,
It has to
yeah.
be a failed
Fail.
charge.
Okay.
So you can no longer like try and get a better charge. Just
As
get a
long as
charge
you make
period.
it, that's it.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we know you're at 9.
So I'm at
because
9.
You came in, and so that means you need to roll. You only have to end within 1 inch.
Oh, so we have to roll an 8.
An 8 or better will bring him into the charge.
Okay.
There's no longer the you must be in base contact per se. If you're within 1 inch of an enemy model during the charge phase, you are considered to be the equivalent of base contact for the purposes of punching them in the face.
Yeah.
There's still some base contact rules, but they're pretty rare now. As long as you're basically in contact, you're good to go. So it's really quick. I'll just roll it out. Big numbers. Hey, 8
There's his
is
8.
exactly what I need. It's not a failed charge, and I'm not going to try and re-roll it.
Nope.
So he just scoots diddle within an inch.
So he still stays an inch away.
And what happens is that's the only charge I'll do for now, unless I maybe throw the truck in there too, just for the shits and giggles. It's a 9-inch charge too. I'll try the truck. It does not have.
Just before we do this, so we know this charge is going to be successful. We forgot to do the Overwatch fire
Oh, yes,
from
let's do
the Chimeras.
Yep.
So there is no way to improve Overwatch now. You just hit on 6s.
Oh, there's no nothing.
No, it can't be modified. It says right in the Overwatch rules, no special rules can modify it.
Thank goodness.
So no more Tau shenanigans.
Oh, poor Joe.
Yeah.
Poor Joe. 50% of your armies now suck, Joe.
Take your time with that idea.
I know.
So multi-laser is going to be hitting on 4s. Sorry, on 6s, because it's Overwatch, so that fails. The heavy bolter will be hitting on 6s. It also fails.
You did well, Joe, giving your those things to.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I
haven't
just picked my
succeeded
magic
in
green ones.
anything, internet. Just for the record. And my las gonna raise, I cannot fire because there's no unit mounted in there. So Joe is now in with the Orc War Boss, and that prevents me from overwatching the truck, which is about to either successfully or not successfully charge me.
All right.
So I did realize it because this is a barricade. It's minus 2 inches to a vehicle to charge.
Oh.
So I'm not even gonna try
You
at
need
this
a
point.
10.
Yeah, I need a 10. We'll just leave it so he can blow it up, and we'll see what happens when things blow up.
Well, you know you finish your charge, though, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not going to charge this. That's the only charge I declared, and because these guys are not even close. And then what's going to happen is just start with the fight phase. So the charge phase is now done. Now that what would happen if I did want to do the truck? I roll for the truck, resolve Overwatch, go in. If I had a third unit here charging, I resolve Overwatch, measure, go in, and that's charge phase complete. You pick a unit, you try and charge, see what happens. Next unit, try and charge, what happens. Okay. Now it's the fight phase.
Fight phase, okay.
So because it's my turn, do I want to do command points at all on this or no?
No, let's just skip command
Okay.
points, and I'm also going to skip heroic intervention because
Yeah.
now that Joe is in, I have a unit within 3 inches of a unit that's in combat, so I could try to bring my company commander into a war boss. Having played guard since there was a guard army, I know that that's
A bad idea.
catastrophic to my success.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep him.
Well, he just pretended he didn't see it.
Yeah.
So it's on the other side of the camera. It's like,
Yeah.
La la la. Sorry, pal.
Don't see
Can I have my
anything.
coffee?
Yeah.
Go to my
I don't
government
hear the
break.
screams. So
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So he's on his Union Timmy's break right now, and we're gonna let Joe smack a chimera now.
So because I charged, in almost all cases, as the player who charged, I get to make my charging models go first. So if I had 2 units charge successfully, typically those 2 units will go first. There's a few ways to do some pretty awesome shenanigans in a good way. Like if Mike's like, hey, I really want that not to happen, you get very limited command points based on how you build your army and your detachment. We won't talk about that at all, other than the command points are important and would have potentially allowed Mike to intervene.
Well, in future upcoming games and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we'll do it today for sure.
Yeah.
It's an advanced thing that you should definitely build your detachments around, at least trying to get a few command points. Pretty much everyone gets a 3 base based on just having a battle forged army.
Yeah.
And then for a reasonable sized game, you're going to try and get at least 1 more, if not 3. So you have anywhere from 4 to 6 command points to use throughout your game. So in this case, we won't bother because it won't matter anyway. I'm the only one charging. You just go to your profile. That's all you got to do. So I hit on weapon skill 2+. So I have 4 attacks base, and there's no longer +1 attacks for charging.
Oh, there is.
So you just read your characteristic. If you have an ability that gives you +1, like some Dark Eldar, some Space
Raven
Wolf,
Guard,
some
or-
Raven,
yeah.
there's going to be guys that Slithing Talons from Tyranids.
yes, yeah.
There's definitely ways
Chainswords.
of getting +1, but in this case it isn't. So I'm going to use my Power Claw because that makes sense. Now what happens is, as I mentioned, Power Claws used to strike last, just like Power Fist. It doesn't happen anymore. All I do is subtract from my 2-hit roll, so it goes from a 2 up to a 3 up. Not bad for a war boss, still punching on 3s.
Yes.
So I'll take my 4 attacks, I will punch on 3s. I get exactly 3 3s, so lucky my dice. I have 3 hits. I am strength 6 base as a war boss. Wow,
That's
right?
fair.
That's pretty good.
Most HQs that are close combat related have higher toughness, higher wounds, and higher strength than they ever did before.
Yeah.
So you're gonna
almost every character has higher wounds for sure.
Yes.
Like even the company commander is up to 3 wounds.
Oh, yeah, it used to be 2
Yeah.
before, right?
Yeah.
one
yeah.
in some
Well,
cases.
one, but
Or
2.
Some guard characters are only 1 wound, but yeah.
So you're gonna notice you gotta read. Honestly, for $30, not to say Games Workshop's awesome, but for $30, just buy the codex. You need to have this codex because you need to have your data slates. They tell you absolutely everything you need to know.
Yeah, you
So I
can
have-
also get them in electronic format too from Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did my hits. Now my strength base is 6. My Power Claw times 2, so I'm now strength 12.
Yeah.
Always.
Still not capped at 10 anymore.
Not capped at 10, so you can have strength 20 if you're a
Big.
Stompa with a Mega Choppa like yesterday.
Yeah.
Woo! What is your toughness, my man?
It's 7, so you're wounding on 3s.
I'm wounding on 3s, so that's okay. I'll take my wounding on 3s and maybe get 1 or 2. I get exactly 1. Now what happens is my Power Claw is -3. So you have a armor save of a 4?
3+.
Oh, so
I'm
three,
saving
four,
these
five,
on
6.
6s.
So he has 1 wound, saving on a 6.
Okay,
So these are Joe's dice, so none of them will work.
Oh.
so none of them will work. I
Right, yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
get my
yeah.
6.
Yeah. No.
So there we
now
go.
he applies his damage.
But you should have only rolled once, right?
Yeah,
one die.
but that's
Oh.
okay. It's
There's
okay.
only one
Yeah.
wound.
There's only one wound.
Yeah.
So here,
Here's a 6.
there's a 4.
Okay.
So it still didn't work.
So here's how a war boss, even though he has a power claw, and even though he's against a weak chimera, will not kill him. In fact, he'll do very little damage because it's only D3. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's only D3, and I get a 3. So he takes 2 damage out of
10.
10.
So I have 8 wounds remaining.
So in 7th edition, if this had happened, I probably would have killed his chimera.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
In
the,
this case,
And
I-
everything the Chimera ever talked to.
Yep. And in this case, all I did is take off a couple sandbags on the side. Like,
But
it's really not that
actually
bad.
makes more sense now. Like,
But does it though? Hey, like,
It's-
that claw is specifically designed
Ripping
to
open
tear into
vehicles.
things.
yeah,
So
I know,
like
but
even the Chimera, like a Melta-Guide suicide squad where there's multiple Melta-Guns,
Yeah.
that'll still ruin your day. But
Yeah.
the one guy in the squad carrying a Melta-Gun, if you're at full health, it's not possible to kill you in one shot.
So here's the craziness, people. Pay attention. His chimera is going to punch me back right now.
Yeah.
oh really?
Yeah, because there's no. didn't have any other charges, and thus
It's
now.
funny. I actually put my index down because I'm so used to other editions where chimeras are just tanks. Now I fight them. So I'm hitting him back on 6s.
So what's his
And-
class? This is where like I don't understand.
So some crew or some
Oh,
guys on
nice.
top.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe he just
tank
turned and tried
riders,
to hit me.
get the
Okay,
attack
right,
back.
okay.
The turret.
Most
yeah.
most vehicles do not punch well, but
So I'm hitting on 6s.
Yeah.
Ridiculously enough, I have 3 attacks.
almost as much as my war boss.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Here we go. No 6s.
Well,
There
No
we
hits.
go.
No hits. But the point is, some of the vehicles like my battle wagon hit on 5s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And some, like obviously dreadnoughts. will hit
Sometimes
on-
war gear can make them better. Dedicated close combat vehicles like Def Dreads, Killicans are actually kind of hell on wheels for close combat.
well, that's good. That's what they're designed for.
Yeah.
So that
And
is. Go ahead.
we're almost done. Joe also gets his consolidate move.
Boom.
Comes to the closest enemy. So now he is in old school base contact.
And now you.
And he
you're
actually
not
should have
worried
done that
about-
before
this is-
attacking, but
This is where you would
it's
normally do a leadership if you needed to do it, right? At the end of your
we
turn.
do
or at
need
the
to
end
do a
of-
leadership.
Or is it at the end of your turn or the end of the turn overall?
No, the end of his turn.
End of your turn.
It happens on his
Yep.
turn and my turn.
But you don't have to worry about it because.
The vehicle doesn't because I haven't lost a model, but the infantry squad here does. So
Oh,
they
so sorry. You have to do it even if it's in his turn. because-
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
All available units. So if he had hurt me, I have to do it too.
yeah.
So the morale phase is like it
you get it
affects
twice
both
per
players.
battle round. So
Yeah.
it'll happen twice in each battle round, which is the new word for a turn. And now within a battle round, you have his turn, my turn.
Right.
So they just changed
The terminology.
the wording
Yep.
of it. Yeah. All right. So my leadership on these guardsmen is increased because I have a commissar there. That's his aura ability. So within
Or the will shoot you if you don't.
Yeah,
you
so
don't-
failing this roll, if I do fail, then he'll shoot one of them.
Can you just explain the role versus the leadership versus how many casualties you took?
So
Because
what
it
it
took
would
7, right?
what it would be if the commissar wasn't here, I took 5 casualties in that squad. So I would take my leadership, which is now guard actually got worse. So I'm just gonna
Oh,
double check.
really?
It's worse than it used to be. It should be around a 6, I want to say. Let me just double check. So my leadership is a 7 because I still have a sergeant,
Oh,
but the guard would be a 6. Now that the commissar is actually in there, it goes up to an 8 because I can use his leadership. So I would take a d6 roll and add my leadership to it. So we'll do that. So I rolled a 2.
pass.
So I would have passed even without him because a 2 plus your casualties, which is 5,
Yeah.
would make a 7, which my sergeant would have been able to handle by himself.
So you take your casualties in one hand, add them to a d6, and if you're equivalent or less than your leadership,
Then
you
you're fine.
pass.
You're passed. Yeah.
No further issues. If he had failed that, he would basically, for every point in addition to your leadership, so if he had rolled a 6,
yeah.
6 plus 5 is 11, his leadership is 7.
7.
Subtract them, that's 4. You would have taken 4 additional casualties.
That's models. It's not
Models.
wounds.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's worse for elite units. Usually have a higher leadership.
Yes.
But if they fail,
It's worse
It
because
hurts
they-
more because you could lose 20, 30 point models
like that.
just
Quickly.
like that. Whereas if I lose a guardsman, he's,
Well, like,
he's
yeah,
4
or-
points. I don't care.
Yeah, or like the Penal Legion guys. You're like, yeah, so there's 10.
Yeah,
Whatever.
exactly.
They're 3 points per. So.
So that's the base rule, and you'll find that most armies, or a lot of armies, have a modifier to leadership, whether you use a sergeant or a commander or if you're like anything in a Space Marine, you pretty much get a reroll with the "and they shall know no fear."
Yeah.
So that's great. Or if you're orcs, you just ignore it if you're basically 20 models, or if you're them and you have a commissar, you just lose one guy instead of the 4.
Yeah,
So,
so-
there's lots of ways around it.
Overall blanket fearless is gone, but most armies have something, or for example, the Death Guard that were in the box, they have a unit called Poxwalkers, and they never take morale. So there are ways of getting the old fearless equivalent. It's just on a data slate by data slate, or sometimes army basis.
Now, do you need to roll for your sentinels as well, or because they're individual units, it doesn't matter?
They are bought as a group,
Yeah.
but once you deploy, they're individual units. So
Yeah.
I lost a model, but my unit was only one model, so they wouldn't. But
Yeah.
I'm glad you realized that, because I totally forgot I lost a sentinel. So I hate you, Joe. And it's my turn now, I believe.
Yeah, rock and roll, buddy.
So
Time to get shot in the face. My favorite thing to do on a Saturday.
Well, you got a lot of orcs. You can afford to lose it.
I hope not all
Yeah.
of them.
Well, the way Mike's rolling. Yeah.
Oh!
the way I'm rolling, my models are here for show.
Alright.
Okay, so my sentinels are nice and fast, but because they have heavy weapons, they suffer a penalty to hit if I moved. I'm going to keep my fast attack units stationary, just to shoot Joe's truck, hopefully get a kill. In fact, not much of my army is going to move. I'm just going to start getting my characters behind, so they're not the closest unit.
Is your base move 5, Mike, with your guys?
The guard, I believe...
Mostly 5, eh?
No, I believe they're still 6s.
Oh, okay. So they're more nimble than my super strong snotling
They are
eating
still
orcs.
Yeah, they are still 6s.
That's
Ooh.
because they want to be able to run away from the orcs.
Yeah, I
You
guess they got big legs and small upper torsos.
Yeah, armor's for cowards, right? All right, and a new change to the game is my Chimera is just going to leave now. I'm just
So
going
it's no longer locked in combat.
It's
Are you going to fall back?
it's
Because if you
Yeah.
do, you will not get to shoot, right?
right.
Okay.
So my Chimera is just going to fall back 6 inches.
But like,
And I
Joe was
just-
saying you don't shoot though.
No, there are some things that can fall back and shoot. Like once he starts engaging my guard infantry, they're going to do it. Guard can give an order to let them do it, but because it's a vehicle, I can't issue the order to the vehicle.
Okay.
Has to be an infantry keyword. So he's just going to go ahead and move back. And I guess I'll go to my psychic phase. I'm going to... just going to measure the range
Joe, do
here.
you want a bit more coffee? Or?
Yeah, could you top me up just with
I'm going to move him back
Just a
this
little
way,
splash.
actually.
Yeah, there's no sugar. It's a straight up.
I take it exactly that way.
All right.
Thank you, Leanne.
So in my psychic phase, my Primera Psyker.
Yeah.
Hot coffee.
I'm just gonna wait for King Coffee to get back over here.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Hey, we know
This
what-
game brought to you by Tim Hortons.
Unofficial sponsors giving us $0.
You've always got time for Tim Hortons.
Hortons.
So my Psyker is going. I just measured. I am exactly at 18. This is the closest enemy to me, so I'm going to go ahead and cast Smite on Joe's Warboss.
And again, it's a nice advantage. Every psychic guy now has smite advantage.
Everybody has Smite.
We're
Yeah.
gonna play some games.
So
over the next
I
2 hours in there.
Just got a success. I rolled an 8. Joe is probably within 24. Let's just double check.
Oh, yes,
This
this
is-
is 24 to the Tonight the Witch.
So Joe's Weird Boy is at 29 inches, so
He's a,
he cannot deny the witch. So then-
okay, that's good.
Yeah. So Joe is Smite still D3. It's D3 wounds, right? Smite D3 mortal wounds. Okay, so I'll just double roll a dice here, figure it out. I got a 6. First time this all.
Seriously, that's the first 60 roll.
So thank you. So Joe's Warboss now has no way of stopping a mortal wound.
Right.
So he is just down 3 wounds from whatever his starting character.
Oh,
is
really?
like.
That's just it. Right?
Yeah.
Did you do D3 mortal wounds?
I
to him?
did
Yes.
3 mortal wounds.
Oh
I rolled a
man,
6.
ball sacks. That's 3 wounds gone.
Yeah, so he probably has still about 28, 29. His
I think I
characters
might
are
have
really
like
good.
probably. I think I have 7 with a war boss.
Pretty
So
interesting here.
Yeah.
The, oh, no worries.
actually, he's not on a bike, so it's -3, so 3 remaining on the war boss.
All right, so he is down
Yeah.
to 3 big
Have you
wounds
guys
for
talked
that.
about perils yet?
No,
We haven't got a peril yet.
Oh.
I'm not too worried about perils because I have a commissar. So if he perils, the commissar will just shoot him.
Yeah, that's
Otherwise, it would spill into my units, right?
Have you heard about the perils rules though?
The perils rules are awesome now.
Yeah, so perils is now again on double ones or double sixes.
Yeah, it's,
If you perils, then you no longer have that chart of on a 6 you become super god, on everything else you suffer. Now you suffer, was it one mortal wound?
yeah.
Or is it D3?
I believe it's one mortal wound, but if it kills you, everything else gets D3.
Yeah, everything else is like a 6-inch radius gets
Yeah.
a D3.
So you
mortal
basically
wound.
explode.
You explode, and you cause other people to explode.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have the potential.
Now, does
Yeah.
that cascade?
No, it couldn't. No, because we killed.
Why do I
Cypress,
see
they did
orcs,
perils,
weird
so
boys
we
somehow
Okay.
Blowing themselves up.
blowing themselves up, going, yeah, come on, peril me, baby.
It's actually
I have seen a battle rep recently where they blew up a Titan or an Imperial Knight, and then that caused a Rhino to explode,
Okay.
and then that took out the squad beside it. So it was like,
yeah.
Three most expensive things.
it was
So, how many wounds does your...
He has 6.
Halfway dead. Good job.
Now, can we just quickly do a difference between mortal wounds and normal wounds?
Yeah, so mortal wounds, you don't roll to wound, which is why I didn't roll to wound. So you still, in some instances, will need to roll to hit. You don't roll to wound, and they can't be stopped by armor. So he doesn't get his armor save, he doesn't get an invulnerable save. I believe he could still get his feel no pain. It would depend on how it's worded in that unit's
still get
data
feel no
slate
pain.
that gives it. But
Or
he
the
should still
disgusting
get it.
utility.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
he should still get it, but he's out of range from his pain boy now to get it. Yeah.
He went off gallivanting on his warp jump.
Well, he still made his move away, and, you know, it's
Yeah,
fear.
I'll give you the white ones.
It's the only one I did.
They're easier to see for
So,
the demo.
Oh,
look
he's
at
giving you
that.
better...
I'm going to give him new dice. 'cause
Now I
he's
can
been
ruin these
complaining.
dice.
You know, take all my mojo away.
Did he taint your death?
He did.
All right, so now I move to my shooting phase, which is where guard gives their orders. I have a company commander hiding like a coward between these two chimeras. So he has the voice
He's
of
not
command.
hiding, he's leading properly.
Yeah, he's leading through cowardice. So I can now give 2 orders because he's the senior commander. What am I going to do here? I'm going to give this unit first rank fire, second rank fire, and I can't remember what it's called, but I'm going to give this unit re-rolling ones to hit. And the nice thing is now in the new books you don't have to actually roll to see if you're successful in casting an order. It just happens. So for shooting, I'm going to take the autocannon in this squad and put it into Joe's truck.
Okay, well, I think Joe's truck's going to die soon.
Well,
Jason,
Joe's truck will be
get a
alright.
chance to do yours today, your battle today.
That's cool.
Just because we're doing a lot of explaining for the rules and changes and stuff like that, and after this, we're going to take a break after the first turn to talk to Zach for a bit, and then we'll go back to the battle and then back and forth.
Yeah,
like that.
that's good.
Okay, so I'm just regular guardsman, so I'm hitting on 4s,
Do you want to play it?
Yeah.
and
Okay.
the autocannon still has 2 shots. I'm just double checking, but it should.
To battle, gentlemen.
But yeah, you're right, Joe. That you definitely want to have the codexes, well, not the codexes, but your data sheets with you too.
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
so
and once you start learning your army, you won't have to even reference these too
Yeah.
often.
But it's also nice that it's all so much better organized now. Like that's the big thing. Because before, even in a codex, it wasn't all nicely organized. It'd be
Right.
like, yeah, okay, here's part of the weapon. Oh, but then there's special rules. You have to go.
See, no, that's still in here though, because I'm just looking at my data slate, and then all of your point values are in a different part of the book,
Yeah.
and then right after that you get your war gear stuff. So you still have to do a little bit of searching, but it's more streamlined than it used to be. So, anyways, I did get a hit on Joe here.
Yeah.
I'm strength 7. What's your toughness on your truck, buddy?
6.
Okay, so as long as it's not 7 or better, I'm winning on a 3. And I did. I won.
Woohoo! You guys are better.
So now I
Let me
actually
just
have to
check
go to that
the-
spot
is it
where I
6?
find.
Yeah, it is T6. I have 10 wounds and a 4 up save.
I'm just gonna go actually find it.
Are you using a last cannon right now?
No, this is the autocannon from the guard squad.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find where in here it gives me my weapons.
This is. They're now going to have to pay Gavin to build my Imperial Guard army now.
Yeah.
Is that the box set with the starter kit with the box?
Those are pretty good, yeah. The starter kits, you get one Chimera, 10 guys, command squad. It's pretty good for 80 or $100 or something.
Well, you and Joe can.
There we go.
Because the difference is that still you build your point cards for armies, but there's also what you said, the power level for
Yes.
games.
Yeah.
So there's another method of making a list that's really fast, and it's a power level up the top left corner of any of your unit entries. So they'll say
5.
this unit
5
is
up. Nope. What'd you
5
get?
power.
2.
That, if you're doing it that way, you can upgrade any of your models in that list to its maximum without changing the power level. So obviously it's not the most balanced way to do an army, but again, to get a quick game up and running, saying what do you have,
I see.
like
And of course, why would you not take the max?
exactly. Why wouldn't you upgrade your guys to the max with the 5? So I was looking at Chaos Space Marines just a few minutes ago. It's 5. I think it was 5 power for 5 Space Marines. If you add an additional 5 Space Marines, it's only +4 power. So now you're
Yeah,
9
it gets
power.
cheaper sometimes as you build.
Some units get cheaper. Some units stay the same. But then, yeah, it's
But
just,
it's a nice, easy way to just I have power level 30 or 40. You just there you go.
And again, because the points method of actually building out a list, you buy a tank, and then you have to buy each individual gun for it.
Okay.
So the tank will be 100 points, and then each side gun, it says you have to bring 2 side guns and a main cannon. Well, now you actually have to buy each side gun and a cannon, so which brings the base price up to like 150 points. I don't know.
Yeah,
So it gets a little bit more.
vehicles especially, it got way more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're quickly meeting up with a buddy and you don't already have a list printed off, it's a lot faster just to do a quick power level on the back of a napkin. If you're like, hey, you're going to a tournament, all of them are going to ask you to do the points. And honestly, it's very close. Like in almost all cases, I've built about 10 lists so far for Orcs and Tau, 5 each, and the power level is almost always within plus or minus 2 or 3 of what the points would have been anyway. The nice thing is, as Jay said, you just max your squads. Like, if you can take a sergeant for free, why would you not take a sergeant for free?
And like you said, between buddies, it's nice. Hey, what are you doing? Let's get together. Let's do a quick 30, 40, like just determine and go.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
So just to finish this off,
Yeah.
while you guys were talking, Joe failed his armor save on the truck.
Oh, okay.
Took 2 damage. He's applied that. Now, the cool thing is the rest of my squad with their las guns have a chance to hurt his truck.
Yeah.
But I'm better, especially with my order, to put that fire into the war boss.
Yeah.
Oh, one pick on the
Kill
poor war
So
boss.
that's what I'm going to do here, and I issued first rank fire, second rank fire, so each one of these guardsmen is getting 2 dice.
So really quick, I forgot.
I'm sorry, 4 dice.
Whenever a truck, it used to have Ramshackle that did stuff in other editions. In this edition, every time it takes damage that's more than 1 per wound, I actually get to roll a dice, and on a 6, it goes down to 1 damage instead of 2.
Because it's
just because.
Because it's built out of garbage, and
So as-
garbage falls off when you
As
hit
an
it.
example, if a last cannon shoots you and it's supposed to do 6 damage, and I Ramshackle and get a 6, the 6 damage becomes 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now it's only 15% roughly, so
But still.
that was super lucky
Yeah.
in my my rolling. It's lucky, but now I do actually only go down to 9.
Yeah.
So keep in mind these data slates tell you all the cool fluff. Instead of it being a core rule that everyone gets, now it's just that model,
Yeah.
which is kind of fun.
But I mean, what works before stuff is so ramshackle. It's like it shouldn't work to start with. So
Right, it's it kind of it goes with the order fluff.
yeah.
So what I've done is
So now since we're doing first rank, second rank, they
yeah.
get
So
double shots.
usually the gun is rapid fire 1.
Yeah.
First
It's
rank,
faster,
second rank makes it
easier,
rapid fire 2.
more fun,
So at
less
long range I
risk.
get 2 shots, but he's within 12, so now they each get 4 shots.
Right now.
That means guard units now become real deadly.
They get to be meat choppers, especially if they're veterans hitting on 3s. They get real bonuses.
Yeah.
So here we go. These are hitting on
So yeah, I can
4s.
definitely see guards becoming playable again. Because for a while it was just
Well, I remember back in 5th, guard were just ungodly, and then 6th kind of. Well, the 6th became more of a shooting.
I'm actually just realizing I can't do that
Oh,
because
okay.
his character is not the closest model. The truck is.
Oh, so cool. Can you explain that? 'Cause this is a big one.
So
This is
characters can't be shot at. They can still be charged, but they can't be shot at if they have less than 10 wounds, and they're not the closest model. So his war boss only started at 6 wounds, which is less than 10. The truck is still an enemy model, and there's no "our weapons are useless" rule anymore. So I actually have to shoot the truck.
See, I'd be one of the guys who gets shot by the,
Which is
But-
why I
but-
moved my
but-
Chimera over here to
But
keep this.
sir, that's a bigger target. Can
Yeah.
we shoot
Yeah,
the
can we
truck?
shoot the thing that can actually hurt us?
Yeah.
So I didn't
No.
mean for this to happen, but it actually turns out really good for me.
Oh yeah,
So-
I'd be the guy
Hitting-
taking the shot to that back of the head.
Hitting the truck on 4s.
Ooh, nice.
There you go.
That's much better.
That's
I gave you my. I've had those in the oven for like 3 days now, so they've been heavily baked for.
and the strength of my weapon is only a 3 because it's a las gun and they're basically a flashlight that was heated up in a microwave. So
you're
I'm gonna,
5?
and he's 6 toughness, so I need 6s to wound him.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's basically half strength.
And it did nothing. So yes, anything can hurt anything. It's just
Yeah,
not. It's
Well,
not like
that's the las guns are always the problem. Like it burns, it tickles the orcs. Oh look, it's
But then it's also
13
the
to
armor
them.
save on top of that.
Yeah.
People
And
are doing
12
that. Like,
So you can go that way.
So
yeah.
this squad, because it's closer to the war
200
boss
dice.
than the truck,
Yeah.
can actually shoot the character.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But the
And
thing
rapid
is,
fire
you
measure
get 50
per model,
cards,
right? So
I'm not going to
you
get
guys
rapid
can
fire on
use-
any of them. They're all too far
could,
away.
Okay,
but
but you
they're
can
better
hit the war
targets
boss.
to shoot at with the-
First.
Not if it's
I
the
can't
closest.
shoot
Yeah,
the
that-
war boss.
Yeah.
So
that's
I've
called
got
the
2,
guard.
4, 6, 8 guys with las guns.
Yes.
Now is that for just for the guard mic, or is that for all like the
Everyone.
that you have to shoot
Yeah.
the closest thing?
So
And you don't have to shoot the closest thing. You just can't shoot a character
Sure,
unless
if
it's
it's close,
closest.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's good. Like as an example, I could have had my pain boy at the very front of my squad, and he can't get picked off as long as I have 1 or 2 boys in front of him. Because all of a sudden the orc boys are closest to the enemy than my character.
Yeah.
But you have to be very careful. As a quick example of a tactic, if I was a Space Marine player and put a drop pod or anything else that comes in reserves right here, all of a sudden this little poor guy with a crappy save who buffs this entire mob,
He's-
he can get picked
Armor.
off. So be very careful on how you place your characters. It's kind of good in a large horde sense, like Tyranids or Orcs, to put characters in the middle.
Yeah.
The chances of them dying are a lot less.
Especially when now the controlling player picks where he puts the casualties. So Joe wouldn't have to take the 2 orc boys that are screening the character. He could take
Oh,
casualties from anywhere
it's
in the
no
unit.
longer closest.
It's not. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a massive
That's a
change
big one,
too.
too.
Yeah.
You can even take casualties away from guys that are out of range and can't be seen.
Okay.
So it's
Okay, I don't quite agree with that one, but yeah.
I
well,
don't either, but it's different.
yeah, it's just different. It's not better. It's just different.
There may be some.
Talk about a magic laser shot. there.
We're going to look at see if they FAQ a couple things, and if they don't, we'll probably look at some club
House
rules
rules.
to make it a little more
Get out of there,
fun.
guys.
Well, he
a little
died of a
less-
heart attack from seeing all the massive combat, right? He's like, oh god.
Or as an example, what if you had like 10 specialized guys, 9 of them are in cover, 1 of them can be seen.
Right.
Can you really kill all 10?
Right.
Right now you can.
What's your war boss's toughness, buddy?
He is
Probably about a 5.
oh, yeah.
As long as it's not 6, I'm winning on 3s.
Just before you pick it up, it might be 6.
He's
6.
He is really
No,
on,
that's
on
it's
footy
T5.
six?
T5.
That's
I
okay.
just wanted to go get
So
it.
it's
3.
3 saves for him.
So he has a 4 up armor save, and you're minus anything.
Nothing. No, it's
so
a-
there's
it's a
no
flashlight.
rending.
Your
So I
neck
get
got a
4 up
pretty big
saves.
buff, too.
Bail them all.
Pass. He takes 1 wound right there.
Okay, so he's down to 2.
Oh,
Oh baby,
Animation protocol
I'm still alive for now.
I didn't declare where the autocannon's going, so I have to shoot it into the war boss. That was a
Uh-oh.
mistake on my point.
This is gonna hurt the boss.
Hitting on 4s, I'm gonna miss you. It's guard. Don't worry about it.
Oh, boxcar.
So talking crap is what I need to do apparently.
yeah.
It always makes battle reports better.
Useless
now-
card. Oh yeah, we'll show you.
Now I'm winning on 3s. So there's 1 wound.
shoot.
No, this
Minus-
is I want to say -1 Ren. Give me 1 second. It is -1. So you're
and
on
it's
the
damage
5.
2.
It's damage 2.
If I fail this,
You die.
He dies, and it's 5 up. Oh, war boss down.
Taken out by the autocannon.
We got a war boss down. We got a
yeah.
war boss down.
That's okay. He's
And now
gonna-
that's the HQ unit. If you were doing the
So-
that's the HQ unit. that you
yeah,
get
for
points
Slay the
that.
Warlord.
Joe has a few
Slay the
characters. He could have picked somebody else to be the warlord, but that's very unorky.
Yep.
Um,
It's the bigger guy. He's
Exactly.
always.
Yeah.
If there's a big Mac and there's a war boss, the war boss is typically
Yeah.
should be.
I'm gonna put
The warlord.
some multi-laser and heavy bolter. Fire into your.
So this just in.
Oh.
Forge World's new Chaos data sheet picks up and spotted online.
Yeah.
Chaos Warlord Battle Titan
Yeah.
has 70 wounds,
What?
and its power is 200.
Okay.
200
Okay.
200.
Power level 200. Okay.
It's a giant.
It's the biggest Titan they make,
$2,000.
I was gonna. Let
It
me.
only has 70 wounds.
Only has 70 wounds.
That seems
But it's
low.
probably got a
It
2-up
has a
save,
2-up save.
and it
Oh,
has
okay,
void
okay,
shields.
Yeah.
And it probably has a thing where if you look at it sideways, you explode.
How many power level?
200. 200.
So my as an example, my Stompa is only 50 power. It has 40 wounds, but it's save and no saves, like 3 up save and no void shields.
Yeah.
But that thing probably is this tall, right? That's the model that's like
It's
Yeah.
2.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
nice.
Does anyone actually do it? Does anyone know who owns one?
I don't
No.
know anyone.
Yeah.
It'll-
No, I've got the Reaver, but the Warlords.
I have a whole bunch of paper towel rolls I could make one.
An orc one, just get a bunch of cocaine.
Time to go
It's
to,
like-
go to mom's. mom's
Duct
got-
tape and spray paint.
Spray paint. There.
There,
It's a
$5,000
super
model.
stomp up. There you go.
Alright.
It's gonna go take a look.
So I'm going to put the multi-laser and heavy bolter
small child.
into your squad of orc boys. Are these guys within 6 or whatever it is of the pain boy?
They're all one big unit.
That's
Oh, it's all
why
one big
Yeah, I
unit.
did that because it didn't make sense.
We're
All
also
right.
colored kite.
So here's the multi-laser hitting on 4s
Fours?
because that one didn't move.
Alright. Ooh.
2
Two
hits.
hits.
I'm just going to do the heavy bolter at the same time, bud, just to
They're all
speed
the
it up.
same. Yep.
Well, they're not, but we'll just...
Oh,
Heavy
wow.
bolter flops.
So heavy bolter guarded.
I'm
All right,
okay with
so
that.
you get there's 2 hits. Your toughness
4.
So I'm going to be wounding on
If
3s.
You're 5, right?
Yeah, multi-laser is 6.
So 2 wounds. I take -1.
Yeah.
Can't hit the table, you can't hit your target.
Yeah.
Boy, we know
Multi-laser
people
should
are really
probably
bad at
be
using
0.
nothing.
It's
Yeah.
probably
I
nothing.
would think
It's
It's
No,
multi-laser.
Patrick.
Still just a flashlight, right?
Just a bigger flashlight. But yeah, go ahead and make this.
So I'm gonna take my 6-up armor save. So my t-shirts,
Yeah.
1.
Ooh.
Ah!
Hey!
And I have a pain boy within 3 inches. So my failed wound, I get to take a feel no pain
6+. Yeah.
6+.
Yeah.
Oh snap! I took my lucky dice back.
His shirt is just
No
awesome.
wounds. No wounds. No wounds.
Look at that work.
Wow. Yeah. 1 in 36.
900 just
900
pounds. Not
pounds
the head,
for the
not the
body.
arms, or not even the shoulder.
Without the head.
And no guns. Yeah.
No guns,
Yeah.
no
What?
nothing, just the body.
No,
Oh, the Warlord
British pounds.
Titan.
The War Titan.
Imagine.
900 British pounds for just the body.
How much would you charge someone to pay?
China.
Isn't that times
Half
2?
feet tall,
per pound?
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost. Like 1.6.
Wait, here's
Yeah.
that's good.
Materials alone
So
probably
it's
$100
around
just
1,500
for materials.
just for the
Dollars.
body.
Not
Canadian dollars, just for the body.
Oh, and then I'm sure there's gonna be shipping on
You know
that.
what? Things like
Yeah.
that,
No.
the bigger they are,
No,
the
after-
easier they're.
after 200 pounds, you get
200
free.
pounds, they
yeah.
give you free shipping.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice of them.
It might take a couple weeks to get to you. But
For the Warlord Titan, they better walk it across the channel.
You know what you
first.
do? Just send it off to someplace in China in the factory and go, here, build this. Get
Yeah.
some of the 10-year-olds to build
That's
this.
been done.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Not that we...
not that we know about that or how to get
No,
you connected.
no.
Hashtag
Definitely not a
email me.
booming market.
And
Bunch of last
and
hands.
Joe and Mike
So-
don't advocate piracy from
No.
Nope.
Russia.
No.
Never.
Or China.
Thank you, Russians.
So the 2 Sentinels, they're both going to shoot at the truck
Yep.
because I'm not going to be able to kill it with one of them. So
Yep.
they didn't move. They're hitting on 4s,
Nice.
and they guarded.
Shoot. It's still only 1 shot, or is it heavy 3?
Now
Or
last cannon's
1 shot.
1 shot.
Okay.
So in a typical guard shooting phase, very little accomplished.
No, you,
I got the war boss, but
Yeah.
there is no charges. There's no morale phase.
you can feel good if you just don't look that way.
yeah, no.
If you don't look
That's it.
that-
Look at your feet and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Hey, look,
Yeah.
we killed the
Just
war
do an
boss.
ostrich.
All right, so I believe now we're taking a break to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Zach,
talked
right?
to Zach here, so if you guys want to go for a smoke break or not.
Yeah, and I'll see what's going on in the back there. If that game's.
Yeah.
Are you kicking off a game, Jace? Or just...
Yeah, I'll be kicking up a game in a few minutes.
These are the guys keeping it up, eh?
Yeah.
Good.
I'll keep it going. I'll just stop later on. and break it up.
You want this going
Yeah,
off
yeah,
this
yeah,
side just for a chatty?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
grab
Yeah.
this
And one
Get some of your flash
Yeah,
kits
exactly,
there. Sure.
yeah. And we're just gonna switch to the.
My box.
And if you want to, Joe, do you have your piece? If you want to leave some of your stuff right there for that, for the camera, or
Yeah,
we
let's
can-
do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so people can
Another
still.
thought. Yeah,
still
for a
get-
little bit, maybe towards the end there, we could get this angle on the action
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Yeah, we'll switch it up there.
Sure.
We'll take. Yeah, actually, after turn 2, we'll take a break and switch
Are
it
you
up.
good with something like that? You want a little more? Or a little less?
What's
a little
that
less in
say?
terms of
I think the people beside us are partying.
Yeah, it does.
The
Doesn't
people
it?
have
It's like-
meetings. They're
You're
having a
going-
meeting.
You're going like, well, that's a pretty walking place.
That's where you get your meat, eh?
Yes.
Come for the meat, stay for the rock.
Well, here's a question for you. It's 12:30 now.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to stop for a little food break or something, or we're going to turn 2 and then take a little break, or?
We probably should keep going.
Let's
just
get turn
because,
2
Yeah,
done,
we're
because I don't know how much
yeah.
longer we're going to get.
No, we're
to be
so
honest.
turn 2 would go faster.
We'll show the charge phase, and
Yeah.
once we're
Basically, we
through
just want to show you how combat works. And
No,
then
exactly.
ends, so the
Turn
guards'
2
days
will
are
go
numbered on this table, I believe.
Yeah. Well, at least you rolled better.
Yeah, dice, you know, you can have the tactics, you can build an army well. If the dice say no, you still can lose, right?
Yeah.
That's it. List building and playing well helps. But
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, this one was.
Nobody ever won a tournament because of hot dice.
No.
You know, it is.
That's what I like. Like, yeah, you could have hot dice, but you still don't.
Yeah,
play
but
well.
you can easily lose the tournament because you just don't make the dice
Thank you,
rolls.
Zach. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, and when you do lose, that's what you blame it on.
Yeah.
But I think the other two factors are definitely more important. All right.
So
speaking
are
of
we
dice,
rocking and
let's
doing
get
some
back
move?
to this?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't have the war boss anymore, so I can just move.
No more
and I might
walking.
not get a charge in, so that's okay. Or should I put the war boss in just at the back to make sure I get the charge?
Do you know what? Just
Just throw him in?
just put them back. Who
So,
cares?
so as an example, if you hadn't jumped and suicided, which is not a bad idea, but not a good
If
idea.
you have more than one war boss, it's a very good idea.
Yes.
So really quick, I'll do the, because I'm going to advance and move, I'll do the advancement with the boys. So it's 5 plus 6! Wog! I'll take my my 11, which is just fantastic. Thank you, Mike, for letting me demonstrate.
I got 11 to give you if you keep rolling with that.
You would.
But know that, like, yeah, well, because this is just a fun one.
Just to
try
show-
show the different things that are available now.
That's right. So the most important thing is just showing you how these phases work and getting some models in combat, because the multi-charging and the piling in...
This guy's dead. This guy's dead.
Oh, and all the piling, all that stuff is really important in this, much more than maybe it was before, because now you can tie up multiple
He's
units.
fighting
Which way do we go? Which way do we go?
And so now I'll do the advance for the war boss. He gets his 2, so yep, I should have kept the trail there a little bit. Let's do that. So he gets 7 right up here.
Wait for me.
Pain Doc, he goes 8,
Ooh, that's better.
so that's a lot better. And then my weird boy, let's get him up the table with a big old 10. So he's gonna go right there.
Good.
These guys are not moving. Tank is going to move 12. It's not slowed for normal movement.
No, just for advance.
Just for its normal thing. So I should.
But it's the new rules, so you do have to go around. You can't go through walls anymore.
Not walls, but barricade. I think it's only charging your subtract.
But you still physically have to move around in the movement phase, I believe.
Well, obstacles, yes, barricades.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. This is we're treating
It's
this
a
as a
barricade,
barricade.
right?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So you can go over.
I just go my 12 because I'm not damaged enough. I'm at 9, and if I was at 6 wounds or no 5 wounds, then I would be slower.
You'd be slower.
But I just go my 12. It probably won't matter too much, so I'm just going to throw them right here, just for the heck of it, kind of like that. I don't think there's any more tank shock, and any
That's
of that
why
stuff.
you get to assault.
So now I get to
Yeah.
assault. So there's no more tank shocking troops or ramming. It's just you fight them. So we'll do some fighting in a minute. Not moving, and that's the movement phase. Psychic phase, I'm going to try and get the one that gives me +1 attack on the charge.
Yeah.
So it's a power warp charge 7, so I need a 7 or better. I do get it, and he gets to deny the witch
He's within 24 inches.
because he's within 24 inches.
Now he has to beat your 10.
He has to
it's
beat
not,
that.
It's not likely.
Close, but no cigar for this guy.
Nope.
So technically this unit, one unit you nominate within 6 inches now has +1 attack. So the psychic phase is complete. Shooting phase, really we'll just kind of, for the most part, forego the shooting phase, other than maybe putting a couple pistols into here. You know what, it probably won't matter. I don't think, though I'll just put the looters into the sentinels, and they are 50% or more covered, so they get +1 to their save. So it's 5 guys at heavy 3. I get 1 shot guy, so it's really not going to do too much anyway. But hitting on 5s and 6s against the closest sentinel, no hits. That is okay.
Yeah, pass my cover save.
Yay!
Guard made a save.
Now I do have.
Can I just ask you one question while we're doing this?
Yeah, let's do it.
6th and 7th introduced line of sight, true line of sight. Is that still part of the game? Has that been
True
taken
line of
out?
sight is part of the game.
Okay.
The cover rules are very
weird.
basic now. So if you can see any part of my model, you can shoot.
Okay.
Technically, I wouldn't get cover anyways because these guys aren't physically in a piece of cover.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So a lot of people like to still give vehicles cover if they're 50% obscured. That's on like a club by club, player by player basis. It's not officially in the rules. To get cover, I would have to be in a piece of covered as well as 50% obscured for a vehicle.
But if you're completely obscured by hiding behind a building,
if I'm
then
not
they can't
visible,
target
then you can't be targeted.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a big Caribbean festival up there. That was cool.
Is it outside?
Let's go get some shrimp. Yeah, like literally right there.
Okay.
They're just doing
cool.
a parade.
Interesting.
So no shots, no damage, really. We'll put the Burners in. Do you have No, just
What are you trying to do?
yeah. We won't do the Burners. We're just gonna do some charging
Yeah,
and
we're
fighting.
just gonna
I think that's the
charge
most
rules.
important thing
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it really
Because
changes how
there's a
things
difference
go.
now in charging for from 7th to 8th. There's a big difference for charging.
There is.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly explain what we have going on here. We have more than 20 boys on the table, like I think it's like 25. I did that purposely because in a unit, if they're at 20 or more models, they automatically get +1 attack, whether they have the Slugga Choppa or the Shooter variant. So these guys are Slugga Choppa, so they start with 2. They get +1 for being a unit that's greater than 25 right now, which could be reduced depending on Overwatch. Then they get +1 for having a Slugga, or a Choppa, okay, because close combat weapons like chain swords and this weapon will give you +1 to the attack. So they're now at 4. If Gaz Skull, well, actually it's not Gaz Skull, so never mind. That's exactly what we have.
Yes.
But if you do have Gaz Skull, you can add an additional +1, which
Yeah,
is pretty.
and you did
pretty
cast
sweet.
a spell from the weird one.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
there we go. So there are 5 attacks right now, as long as he doesn't kill 5 of my models.
Yeah.
So
worst
it's
case Ontario, it'll just drop down to 4. So,
exactly. So it's
They're
really
still amazing.
It's amazing. It really
That's
is.
really good presence.
And there's a few other ways to buff, which is great. If I had a wall banner, which is about 80 points worth of points, my hits become instead of a 3 up, a 2 up. So you can very easily in a 500-point game, we'll say a 750-point game, have 2 units of 30 and do a ton of wounds if they get into combat.
There's a lot
And well,
of
especially now the
synergies.
movement, the way the movement's done, it's easier to get within range faster.
It is. If I had jumped those guys, I could have then jumped, in his back corner and charged 4 units instead of just 1 or 2.
The game is much faster. Everything, especially infantry, moves way faster than in 7th. I mean, yes, if you just look at the movement profile, he's slower than he was in 7th. But, through synergizing the rules, every army has a way of being fast. Eldar are now disgusting
Oh, I can
fast.
imagine
If
they
you
would.
want to be like, all the way across the table turn 1, there's a way to do it. They're very good.
So we'll go pretty slow through the phases for the charging. I know it's hard to see, but it is really just summarized on a single page, which is awesome. We're in step 4, which is the charge phase. So I select a unit. I'll select the boys. I select targets of his units. So this is where multi-assaults come in. So it used to be that if you multi-assault more than 1 enemy unit as a target, you lose your +1 to attack.
Right.
It doesn't matter anymore because there's no more +1 attack.
Right.
So I'm going to select 2 of his units for the charge. In fact, I'm going to select his commissar as a 3rd unit. And is this guy a sergeant or is he a HQ?
That's the Psyker.
Okay, so I'm gonna just choose everything because I'll show you why. It might make a difference where you're no longer forced to go directly closest to the enemy on your charge roll. So if I roll bonkers like boxcars, there's kind of sometimes a way of sneaking around and drawing other characters.
Right.
So I'm gonna declare this squad, this model, and this model 4 targets. I may not actually get into base with any of them, or I might get in base magically with 2 or 3 or 4. So then he gets to Overwatch with all targeted squads.
Oh, okay.
And he does that now.
Well, so this is why sometimes you may not want to target as many units because
That's
of
right.
the
You got to be
Overwatch.
careful. Yeah.
But since they're only characters,
See, now,
might as well target them.
the thing with characters, too, is even if he didn't target them, if I chose to, I could pile them in with the heroic intervention rule.
Right.
But because he targeted them, I can't. If they're not good at combat, sometimes you wouldn't pile them in. But he targeted them, so if he could physically make it into combat, my character's in.
Right.
Well, especially like your Psyker is like, I don't want to fight an orc.
Yeah.
None of my characters want to fight orcs. Guard, unless you're an Ogren, don't want to fight anything. So I'm going to skip to where I do Overwatch.
Okay.
I'm going to do the Commissar first. He has a bolt pistol. It hits.
Bing! Probably 5 to wound.
You're toughness 4 now, right?
Yeah.
So it's 4s.
Okay.
Because it's a bolt pistol.
Okay, bolt
Yeah.
this one, yeah.
And there's a
1
wound.
I take a t-shirt save and fail, and then I take a feel no pain and fail, so I take 1 model. I'll just kill this guy because I don't like him.
Yep.
And
He looked at
the
you funny.
Psyker only has a las pistol, so 6s. Nope. So I did give these guys the order first rank fire, second rank fire.
Yeah.
That does not stay until my next shooting phase. That happens in my turn only.
Okay.
Most rules will be like that. There are some exceptions
Very few.
that float over. Just before I start talking out of my butt, I'm just going to double check the guard order.
You have to read those abilities in your thing because
And you have to get to know them. So,
it's not as bad as it used to be though, because you only have to look in one place.
so
You don't have to look
in my book, it does say until the end of the phase. So this is not my turn. It's not the same phase that I ordered it, so they do not get to do it.
Right.
So quickly, the autocannon hitting on 6s, no. And the Sergeant's last pistol, because I'm going to choose to shoot my pistol. No. One of them is going to throw a grenade, because you can do that.
Oh, we can.
one model per unit can throw a grenade.
Yeah.
In Overwatch.
So a grenade is heavy
D6.
D6. So I'm going to roll my D6 for number of shots. It's only one, because
Your dice still hate you.
the dice hate me today. So that'll hit on a 6.
Wow.
I gave him the bad dice again.
You
You
did?
did
Yeah.
give me the bad dice. So that's that guard squad done. This
Dude, you
guard
failed on a
squad,
grenade. How can you
Yeah.
fail on like, where'd you throw it?
he just didn't pull the pin.
He threw the grenade.
Yeah. He threw the grenade.
So the autocannon, oh,
There we go.
That'll be wounding on a 3.
One wound.
And
Minus
that's
one.
minus
so I got
one,
one
so-
feel no pain, 6 up. Nope. One
So
more,
that's the
guys.
second out of that
Get shredded by
magical
the
5 I
autocannon.
need.
Take that from the side. As you notice, I'm not touching the front line because you don't have to. And I'm going to choose the guys that are less likely
Do
to
you know
attack.
what, Joe? Just because we forgot the one guy that shot the lasgun, I didn't do him.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
He's,
Pile it in.
he's also rapid fire range, so I
Yep.
shouldn't have thrown a grenade. But
That's okay.
okay, he did miss. All right.
Here comes the bucket.
Over here, the flamer. D6 attacks. 3.
3 auto
These
hits.
auto
right?
hit.
Yeah.
So flamers are
4 on 4.
awesome now. Force to wound.
Ooh, that's it.
That's a cock die.
So
One
one
wound.
wound. I do get my armor, so 6 up and 6 up. Feel no pain. Nope.
So that's the
One guy
third
burned to
guy.
death.
One more guy.
But you're still above 20.
So now he's very carefully picking how he daisy chains his
Yes.
stuff because he wants to maintain his benefits. Okay, so that's 3 of the models. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them are going to rapid fire lasguns.
I'm actually gonna put. Sorry, I'm gonna put him back, and I'm gonna take this guy. It's 3 inches. It might be 6.
For anybody that does actually want to come play with the RTTR guys, we're just shake and faking everything today because it's a demo game. Usually we don't
Oh no, you guys are
take
much-
back things.
No,
or
no, you guys are much more.
we're a little bit more pro when you actually come for a competitive game.
3 inches.
But for today, it's all for showing.
Demo.
So these are hitting on 6s.
Yes. Just
Yeah.
one.
Get
Wow.
some.
Wounding on a 5, right?
Wounding on a 5.
Wow.
Whoa.
Ooh,
That's
get
the guard I come to know and love.
Exactly.
And the last guy, grenade.
Hey! 6 shots.
None of these will hit. Check it out. Watch this, internet. None of them.
I'm gonna call 3 of them are gonna hit. Watch this.
5.
Just
Oh, I got one. I got
One.
one.
What is? Are they strength 4?
I think their strength.
I don't know what the grenades are.
I think they're 3. I'll double check. Again, going to the back of the
So
book where all
probably
the
just
stuff
need to put
actually
my,
is.
ones for the orcs and the space
Frank.
space marines and Imperial Guard now because they got all 3 now.
Yeah,
Five
so
grenades,
you need
only a 3, it
Imperium 1
looks like,
for
right?
Space Marines,
Okay.
you need Imperium 2 for your guard.
Mine are called stick
Then
bombs,
you need
right?
Xenos
Yeah, they're not
1,
all.
I think,
Grenade's
for
not
yours.
created.
Mine are
equal
strength
anymore.
3 as well. Yeah, decent. Yeah, so it's 5 to wound.
5 to wound, because orcs are tough. And there it goes.
Okay.
That's all of your. That's all
And
my
yes,
incoming
Joe's
fire.
still got over 20 guys.
Yeah, so it's gonna
Yeah.
hurt at least for the first turn. I'll just show you what the big changes are. So I select my unit. I select all my targets. He does Overwatch with all the targets he wants to. It's unlimited Overwatch for
So-
people being charged
So if he doesn't make this, I get to shoot him again if he charges.
with a
Really?
different unit.
Yeah.
So it can be powerful. I mean, if you're close, you're going to get hit anyway, so it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
But if you're far, like a 10-inch charge, and I have 3 units that really want to munch him, he might be able to fire at all 3 and still live and not be charged. So it's really kind of cool. If you're the Tau, you do not get unlimited supporting fire. So you do get to do that only once, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But the cool, like, because if I was Tau and those are Riptides in the back, I could have Overwatched as well. But anyways, I'll show you
Just
the
out of
mechanics.
curiosity, Joe, with the barricade, does that slow your charge as well?
It doesn't slow it. What happens is instead of the 1 inch to be in base, it's now 2 inches.
So okay, so it's like a wall.
I will double check, but it actually might be subtract 2 inches. I will.
Because I know it's -2 to your advance.
if I go over it. Yeah.
I don't remember about the.
I still know if I have time.
It's in the advanced rules.
problem.
It's in the advanced rules.
I mean, even getting down here for this.
Terrain is
is an issue
the
I
only
have to
thing
react
that's
to this,
extra
so-
in the advanced rules.
You know, so-
We're going to take a half second to look at the barricades.
No worries. Yeah.
I don't remember.
No,
if
it doesn't
affects-
subtract. It's now 2 inches instead of 1 to fight, is what it does.
That's what
but
it
it gives
is.
you the cover,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, which
If
I'm
you're
not going to get.
No.
This is combat.
So this is the cool part. I measured to the closest target, and that's the minimum to get to that target. So just for, you always measure first to confirm. So it's over 4 inches, so it's 5. But you have to be within 1 inch, which is now actually 2 inches of a barricade. So it's really a 3-inch charge for them, and it's only
Well,
a...
no, it's still the same distance. So it's 5 is what you measured,
Oh, it's
right?
for you that's 2 inches, not me.
Right.
Yeah.
So the tape measure shows 5 inches, right? Joe?
Yeah, resolving fights between your opponent's side of the barricade. Units can choose to fight and make their attacks if the enemy is within 2 inches.
Yeah, so,
So
it's
you
not,
get to-
It doesn't affect your charge at all. It affects who fights.
If I have to get within 2 inches to fight you, is what it says.
Right,
So
but
it does
you
affect my
still need
charge.
to end 1 inch away. It doesn't affect your charge.
Oh, okay. You're saying how many guys? Okay.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
It's when you're actually fighting that rule will
Okay.
come in, not for the charge.
So it is a 4-inch charge here, and
Yeah.
then for the closest model here, it's over 7, I think, or is it at 7?
It's just over 7.
Over
So
7 becomes 8,
Yeah.
which then becomes
Seven,
7 because
you
it's
you have
with
to
1
end
inch.
within an inch. Yeah.
So I'm just going to roll it anyway, see what happens,
Yep.
and that'll determine what we do. It's a massive charge. It's
Yeah.
11. It's everything that
Oh,
this
everything
demo
that
needed.
can close can get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's how this works. I get to pick one unit. I have to move it within 1 inch of one of the targeted charges. It's not closest to closest, and it could be anyone, not just, it could be this guy, although that wouldn't make sense because I have to go around my units.
But you can make him hit the psyker.
I could potentially
He might 11
be able
might
to
get
go
11.
around.
Plus, you'll
and-
get your pilots. So
So here's how this could work. I could pick this knob. He's going to go 11, which takes him to, say, here.
Yeah.
I end within 1 inch. I might be able to pile into the closest model.
Okay.
So there's a couple things that, like, if 11
the only
is...
thing he can't, he has to still stay
Stay
1
wa-
inch away from
away.
the Chimera.
That's right.
Because
So
he
the-
didn't declare it.
There's probably, I could probably get right here with my knob, and that'll be the closest model. And then I can pick any one of my guys, and it's still within 1 inch of you, and I'll pull in his Chimera, which we'll talk about in a second.
You have to stay 1 inch away.
I stay
from
away,
it.
but in the pile in I go up to 3 to the closest model, and it'll stay.
Yeah.
So the next one is I can pick any model. I'll still stay with the front rank, and I'll still try and get as many guys. So it's very simple. It's, you know, I will do base contact. I don't think there's any advantage when you're charging not to try and get into base contact.
No, there isn't.
I think you just maximize it. But it's not guys within 3 inches of the back. It's only guys within 1 inch of a model.
Oh, okay.
So that's a big change.
That is.
Now with the barricades, it's a little bit different because the rule specifically says you get to fight within 2 inches.
Yeah.
So in this case, these 3 closest models now are allowed to have the second rank and maybe a third rank fight. So second rank will fight for sure, no problem. And then, you know, 11 is pretty massive, so I can just go around.
Yeah.
But I need to daisy chain at least the war boss because I want to maintain the.
It's not going to happen
it's the
because by
wall.
the time you pile in, you'll be out of it.
You don't have to move. You don't have to actually move any models in either a pile-in or the charge. You just have to have your first one.
It says
so
May, does it?
Yeah, it says May. So I'm going to do this. 11 is going to look like this. I'm going to put my big guy in because he has a power claw, and then I'm going to daisy chain my war boss so I maintain the
+1 attack.
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to try and grab him. So he's actually going to come this way within 3 inches and 3 inches. 2, 2, 2. I now have both these effects, and then 11 keeps me with a couple ablative wounds up this way. So it's kind of chintzy, but that's just the way it is. Like instead of you're forcing, you must move your full 11.
This guy
you
can't be here though.
He can't be there because of the thing. So
Because you have
you're
to
right.
keep
So I'll
coherency.
I'll do this. I'll just do that. So he'll actually just go
I
into
didn't
that
think
guy.
he'd be able to pull the Chimera in on that one.
Yeah. So that's how you work. You don't have to move your full. You don't have to move straight. Your first model must be within 1 inch of a targeted model. That's it. And now that's the charge. Then and sometimes if you're like depending on how complex it is, you can also do your 3 inch pile in right away. But it's better in bigger charges that are complicated like this to do it slowly. I do my charge, then we do a 3 inch pile in because it's my initiative and I charge, so I go first. unless he has a cool rule or command dice.
But that's the nice advantage because it's no longer based on initiative. You're the one charging. You're going first.
I could spend command points to go before him.
Yeah.
But we're not going to do.
No, but what I mean
points
is,
for this.
before the old day, orcs, their initiative was so slow.
They were so
even though they were charging, they would go.
They would still usually go second unless
Yeah.
they're fighting Necrons or something.
So the only thing I'll do for my pylon, since most things are in direct base, is that he goes to the closest enemy. Boom. He will go into base. He's going to go. He's within 2 inches to support. He will physically attack him. I have to go the closest, so I would go right here, technically with him.
Yeah, you're
Just
still
lay him down in base.
You're still in base.
He's in base. He's in base. I leave my daisy chain. That's it. And that is the pylon. And then it's going to be a ridiculous number of attacks. It's probably not worth rolling because it's 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 times 5 plus 17. And so we could try it just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
So I go first because I charged. I pick the models who go. So I will select. I'll select the Power Fist here first, just because. So he has 4 attacks base at -1 to hit. So he goes from 3s to 4s. So 4s to hit with him, with the boss knob, and I get 2 hits. His strength 5 times 2 is 10. He's T3, so it's 2s to wound because I'm more than double. He has 1 wound at D3, and it's 3 wounds, 3 damage to this target. Or no, actually, you get to allocate. You get to allocate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he takes 3
what
damage.
I'm going to do, I would take 3 damage if I had more than 1 wound. So what I'm going to do is allocate it to him,
Okay,
and that's the end of that.
perfect.
Oh, that's right. There's no spillover.
It doesn't spill over. It's not mortal wounds. Mortal wounds do,
Yeah,
but
okay.
regular wounds don't.
And then I'll go with this Power Claw knob here. So he's also the 4, hitting on
What
4s.
does he have? Cleave and power attack from D&D? Sorry.
Can you have 2 knobs in one squad?
No.
Oh, okay.
I put the 2 squads together and didn't realize it.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
2s to wounds,
Cool.
2 wounds doing D3 each, doing 1 and 1, so 1 damage.
It has Ren, so I don't get.
Yeah,
to
it's
have an armor
-3
save.
to his armor, so it's
Alright.
there's no
Oh,
save.
there's no saves. He's pretty much squished. Well, it's also current. They get squished by power claw.
So I'll put. How many damage was it?
2.
2. I'll take these guys out.
Okay. Then it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9,
And
10.
Maybe him too.
Maybe him 2 inches. No, so
Maybe. Yeah, because
Yeah,
these are
he's
1
not
inch
touching
bases.
it.
He's not close enough.
So it's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10. Yeah, 10. So 10 times 5 is 50. So 25. This is 20. All the green ones are 24. So I'll add a white one. So this is 25 times 2, hitting on 3s.
Wow, this is
Yeah, they're nasty. They can do the same thing and still hurt vehicles with the new
With the
edition, too.
6s. And I rolled really well. I only got 2 2s. Holy shoot.
So I'm just going to take these 2 guys off.
Yeah, so they're done. And there's no spillover into the other squad. That's pretty important. It's a separate unit.
Yeah.
Which is why I didn't assign damage to over here.
Yeah.
And then what'll happen is I attack this way.
So you've got
So
1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 5 guys that can fight.
So 5 times 5 is 25, which is this.
That's
So
that
it's
again?
exactly half the number of attacks. And it's hitting on 3s, because it's a 3-up weapon skill and there's no modifiers. There's some 1s, I'll take them out. There, that's a much better.
There's some 2s in there too, Ben.
Yep. That's a lot.
That's a lot more mathematically average.
Take
Yeah.
that one out. And then
Aren't you hitting on 3s, bud?
strength 4.
No, he swapped
I
out.
swapped it.
Oh, you
just
swapped.
for green.
Okay, okay.
And then I'm strength 4, he's toughness 3, so it's 3s to wound. And he takes that number of wounds at no AP though. So he gets his Carapace armor for 2, 4, 6, 8 wounds.
Okay.
So,
So-
5 up save.
Yep. Yeah, these guys are just regular armor, so they're flak vests. Holy crap!
He got a lot of 6s. I gave him my good dice. Why did I do that?
Should have let him have the green white dice back.
I made 4 saves.
He
So
only
that's-
loses 4.
go guard go.
And he chooses, it doesn't have to be guys in base, but if you allocate a damage to a model, you must
You have to
continue
continue
to
to
allocate
wound it.
damage until it's dead.
That's the point.
So you can't spread wounds like 5th edition.
Yeah.
And now that everything has more wounds, that's pretty important because like a knob has 2 or 3, Terminators have 2, sometimes 3.
Right.
So you want to not wound spread. You can't.
Yeah.
As far as I'm tracking.
Well, that's also interesting because, you have a lot more dice, more damage, but since the damage isn't spread out, it's not as noticeable, right? Because it's like, 1 unit might die, but there's no spread out of the damage to take out an entire unit.
That's why Power Claws going into Guardsmen, not the best weapon to use, right?
No, because you're killing one, but
you can obliterate one guy.
But that's it.
But that's as far as that goes.
Well, because Joe was hoping to pull in the Chimera into the combat.
You might be able to do it, but
you might be able. He was just out of coherency.
Yeah.
Had he daisy chained a bit differently, he could have.
But a big charge makes a huge difference with a wide unit. You can kind of really...
So, like, when we get to the consolidate phase of this, these two guys will have to consolidate, or somebody else will have to bring them into coherency, because right now, they're out of coherency and they can't. Yeah. They can't be that way. I think it's you can't finish the phase out of coherency, right?
Correct, yeah.
So, those are all of Joe's charging units, so now my beleaguered guard get to fight back. I think I actually... I was debating about heroic intervention and pulling him into the combat, but I'm not going to because I want to be able to do psychic things later. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks because there's that sergeant. I'm hitting Joe on 4s.
Your weapon skills 4 with those guys?
Yeah, they're 4s.
Ooh, they're better. They're improved.
They are.
Although he's still...
I still
only got one.
Well, it's because, oh my god, the orc are right in front of us.
I also need a 5 to wound him because I'm only strength 3 and he's toughness 4. Holy poop, I got one.
6 for armor, nope, and 6 for feel no pain, nope.
So that's the best guard we'll ever do in combat against
No, he feels proud of himself, man. He took down.
So somebody in there is like Johnny Canuck and just got one.
Yeah.
So now we move to the consolidate phase.
Yes,
of the close combat.
3 inches. And I'm just seeing if it's closest or not closest. I think it's closest.
You have to move towards the closest enemy.
You may move each model in the unit up to 3 inches. This move can be in any direction so long as the model ends the move closer to the nearest enemy model.
Yeah.
So in this case where, I think for, like, it could be the Chimera if we piled in properly.
Yeah. To measure it.
I know, very quick.
So you're
that's probably
What's
equal.
your
3.5.
You're in charge, Dev.
And you're at 4.
Okay, so he goes
So
up
you have
to
to go
3.
this way, but-
He pulls him.
Listen, I've been letting you talk.
3.
Have you measured that out properly in a competitive game? You probably
letting me
pull it
talk.
off.
Yeah, it's cool. So, and then that way,
So now he's in coherency again.
and then I can actually move up to 3 inches as long as I stop. So I can shift around and pull this guy in because I just have to go to the closest enemy. Same with these guys; they would all technically button hook around, and these guys go closer. These guys all go closer to the nearest enemy unit, and makes their attacks.
But
and you do the same thing.
He's a separate enemy.
Yeah,
So
you
the
just
closest
have.
enemy is still him.
That's correct, but I can stay. As long as I go to the closest enemy unit, you're allowed to wrap around. You're just not allowed to. Yeah, and I just have to stay 1 inch away.
Yeah.
Here we go. No, you don't have to stay 1 inch away in the consolidation. That's how you bring in more units when you consolidate. But these guys get to
Had
do
you
that.
not declared the charge on him, you can't bring him in.
Correct.
now. Yeah.
But if you do, that's why you,
that's why
pretty
it's important
handy just to
declare it.
But
yeah.
what about unit coherency? Doesn't that
2 inches.
He's not in unit coherency either.
Yes,
Joe.
but these guys are allowed to wrap around.
He'd have to
Right,
swing
so you'd
these
have to
guys
move some
around.
more down.
Yeah.
Yep.
He just didn't get there yet.
There we go.
Yeah,
Those guys
now he's good.
Here we go. Those guys kind of do that. And you do the same thing. You pile them, but I think you're already touching, right? Every model's already.
They're already touching.
Yep.
This guy would pile in now.
There we go. And that is the charge.
What about the
and then
the
you have to take
commissar?
morale too.
Wasn't he also included in the charge?
Yeah, but I'm choosing not to pile.
Oh, I
him
see.
in.
I see.
He was. It's closest enemy model.
Yeah, so I'm just choosing not to pile him in.
Yeah.
And technically, I could choose to stay an inch away because I
That's
don't
right.
have to.
You
pile
don't
him.
have to.
Hey, Jace.
Um,
So how'd your battle go?
In fact, I am going to
we
stay an
cut it
inch
short 'cause
away
you had to go
because I'm
on
just
that.
going to leave.
Okay.
But
I'll take my book back.
finished 2 rounds.
Yep.
First impressions? Faster, easier?
A lot faster. We didn't do like all we did was like for the setup. We didn't go
Yeah.
through like the different missions and all that stuff. We just went done a war deployment from the old game.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's in
It is.
It
It's
is.
still even
Oh, it
called
is.
Dawn of War.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, we did the 12-inch deployments, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah, we didn't get any close combats just because his Necrons kept backing up.
Mhm.
Reanimation protocols are a dick.
Awesome.
Yeah,
They're awesome.
They're good if you're
I
playing.
took out
with
3
them.
guys, took out 3 of his warriors, and the next turn he brought 2 of them back.
Yeah.
Then I made him fail a morale test the next round, so that was fun. It would have been a cool game to keep going.
How did he fail morale with leadership 10? He took 6 casualties?
He had a squad of 20 warriors, and
Yeah.
he took out 10. I took out 10 warriors.
Okay.
That
and
would do
he
it.
rolled 2 on his morale,
So you lost 2 more.
so he lost an extra 2.
Cool.
that would
That's
do
the cool part. You just
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
we're doing close
so we
combat
just
here because we just moved
yeah
on
we
to
just did the
now.
multi-assault.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know how multi-assaults work, so I would have loved
They're
You have to watch the.
they're very similar, but it's
The most important thing
it's the
is
Overwatch
that
change.
after you've conducted Overwatch, you roll the dice. I mean, measure first just to make sure you're in agreement on what the charge would be. You don't have to be touching the model to be in close combat. You need to be
One
up to
inch.
1 inch away,
Yeah.
so you can really subtract 1 from that roll.
It's kind of
if
like
you-
Reach in Age of Sigmar, except
Yeah.
it's always 1 in 40.
And actually,
then-
barriers give you 2 inches.
2 inches to fight. So if you're both on the side of an Aegis fence or a barrier like this, that we
It's
call-
basically so you can have the barrier and still defend it and count as being in combat, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
The big thing is that you can pick any model, not necessarily the closest to move, although on a tight charge you probably pick your closest. And it has to end its turn within 1 inch of an enemy. It doesn't have to be direct. So if you have a
Yeah,
boxcars
can-
and you can circle around as long as you stop within 1 inch of the targeted units.
Yeah.
So if you had a targeted unit in depth, you move skirting 1 inch around, and then you get the guy in depth if you have a massive charge and you're close.
Yeah. Close combat armies are way better in this edition.
And then consolidations.
way better.
Pylons, you have to go to the closest model. So if you stayed 1 inch away or more than 1 inch away from a unit, but you weren't touching it, but you pile in 3, you could technically bring it into the fight right away. So if they have a,
But you can't fight them, right? 'Cause
you
they
can.
weren't the-
you can if they were a target.
Oh, okay.
If they
So
were a
if
target,
they
if you declared them as a target, if you didn't declare them as a target, you can still pull them in.
Yeah.
But you can't fight them; they don't get to fight you.
Cool.
And on their turn, if they don't want to be there, they'll
They
just
run
leave.
away.
Yeah,
They don't run away. Pull back.
yeah, they
You run
tactically
away.
retreat.
You run away because you can't shoot. You can't do anything after that.
It's not
You're
a run
wasting
away.
an entire turn
It's
to
a
step back.
redeployment to the rear.
To get more cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let someone else shoot at it.
So,
And you don't have to move all your units to the maximum depth. So as you can see here, my war boss was outside of 12.
Yeah.
And my pain boy, so I kept units within 2 inch coherent or 3 inches of their buffer and 2 inch coherency and tailed them in because these guys couldn't physically charge.
yeah, and these guys, you don't have to pile in. It says may, so you can choose
I
to
like
or
that.
not. Yeah, you'll either like it if you're a close combat army, or you won't if you're a shooting army. It's kind of neat.
Or if you know you're falling back and you just got assaulted, you could just not pile your guys in. So you're already a few inches further back.
That's kind of what I'm doing here
It's
because
kind of cheap, but it works.
he had to, he's an inch away here. So when I go to start my turn,
Okay.
I won't have enemy within 1 inch. So he'll just walk backwards and then shoot because he has a pistol. Anyways, I have to do my morale.
Yep.
So I lost 4 models in this unit. That unit's dead, so what they believe can't help them now. So it's my leadership of 8 plus a dice, bringing it up to 5. I rolled a 5, sorry. So 8 and 5
13.
would be
So you lost-
13.
You lost 8 models.
I lost 4 models.
Yeah, so 4 plus 5 is
4 plus
9,
9,
and your
right.
leadership is
8.
8, so you lose 1 more.
So
model.
I'd lose 1 more model. Had I failed it by more,
Yeah, whatever.
I'm within range of a commissar, so I would still only lose 1 model.
You.
Boom!
We're
Didn't
gonna
like
run
you
away.
anyway, Stan.
So you're not. Get
That's
back in there. All
the
right.
morale phase over.
I have to head out.
Right.
Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, cheers.
Well, we're going to, for 8th edition, we're going to be doing some more of these ones there,
Jace,
Jace.
always good to see you, man.
So
So
Yeah,
Jace,
we
let
got
me
it.
know if you
Yeah,
want
play
to.
Yeah.
We
Take
can
care.
stream a
Good day.
power one if you want to.
next-
Next time?
Just
Yeah, let's do that.
Really quickly, I didn't mention, but next Saturday I'm in for like almost a full day, so like I could actually get 2 or 3 games in.
Gotta talk to
St.
the
John
boss
Baptist.
and
I know,
just
I
make
know the
saves.
boss, but
Yeah.
just a heads up. Today was really tight, but
Yeah.
next weekend's
Next
better.
week, I'm
Like
pretty
that.
good as well.
Next week, I'm not sure if I'm able to come.
Okay.
It's St. John Baptist weekend, so.
Oh, it's a big
Saturday-
one. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a Saturday. I'm in Ontario. I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to us, does it?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Well,
Okay.
good game.
Jace, have good travels. Thanks for coming in. Always good to see you.
I know there's a
My
craft
pleasure.
show.
Always a pleasure, right?
Let's have fun playing with you guys.
Take care, Jace. Have a
On
great
that
week.
weekend. I'm
Yeah.
just not sure if it's
Take
Saturday
out
or
the
Sunday.
Okay,
Extra
that's
military.
Yeah.
Those cowards with their numbers.
Alrighty. So then I guess it would go to my.
We might as well show one more turn just to
Yeah,
see if
I'll
we
do-
could physically bring more.
Yeah, I'll do the bottom of my turn just to show you some of the cool stuff the guard can do.
Yeah.
So in the movement phase, I'm going to leave combat by doing this.
Gonna fall back his troops up to the full move.
Oh, really?
So if they have an 8-inch move,
They
you can
can
actually
get
move
back
8
8
inches,
inches.
right?
You
Or
can-
if you're bikes, you can move like 14 because a lot
You
of bikes
can,
are 14.
yeah.
It's not D3, it's not 3, it's not 6. It's not fixed. It's whatever your movement
Movement
characteristic
is?
is,
Right.
unmodified.
So
That's good.
they're going to do that. And actually, because I'm within 3 inches of this, and I even was when I started the turn,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to embark in the Chimera.
Oh. Yeah.
Myra's just gonna run them over.
Yeah. Back in the vehicle. Back.
And
back
because he's a character, he
Yeah.
can go in because there's enough space transport capacity.
in the nice.
Transports can have
and-
any number of units in it as long as
Yeah.
you
Both
meet
of
your
these guys?
transport maximum capacity.
Both of these guys
So-
are going in as well.
So Terminators like 2, you know.
Yeah.
You can even put. I can put Storm Boys, which are jump infantry,
Jump
in,
infantry is 2
which
as
is
well.
crazy.
That's crazy.
But
yeah.
you couldn't do jump before that I
No.
was aware of, so that's neat.
And now I can just...
I think it depends on the transport because there are some.
Yeah, there might be restrictions.
Yeah.
For the.
You can't put Primaris Marines in Rhinos.
You have to have a faction
Right.
keyword too, and some of them will say you can't put this type of unit in it.
Right.
Like I know, for example, Ogrins for the Guard can't go in a Land Raider, even though we have the same faction keywords. But you know, I can't remember if it's the Land Raider that says you can't, or if it's the Guard one that says you can't. But it says right in the actual data slate.
Yeah.
Whereas Ogrins can go in a Chimera, or like members of the Inquisition can go in any transport that has the Imperium keyword. So it's actually kind of cool. And then this can just leave.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess this asshole can come too.
Hey,
Oh, I broke the swearing block. Oh, no.
Now,
This far without swearing.
You guys aren't recording right now, are you?
It's fair.
Yeah, made it this far. Sorry, internet. And,
I think we have the explicit tag wherever we go.
We do,
though,
yeah.
so
We always tell
It's
it
you.
probably
should
a
be
good
okay.
idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do. We don't say it's not kid friendly. We
that
always-
bullshit guard rules.
Yeah.
Whew, let's break the ice.
Now the MS
Once-
start
once you-
dropping.
yeah.
All right, so just because I want to see more of how this truck works, the Sentinels are going to shoot the truck.
Yep.
So I didn't move, so I'm hitting on 4s.
Nice.
Oh!
Is there heavy weapons, are they?
Yeah, they're
Right,
heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2
Some-
hits, bam.
And then I'm strength 9, which is definitely higher than the toughness of your truck, but not just
Double.
stand up.
So,
So I need
three.
3s.
guys are hiding.
Here.
Hey, what's happening, Eric? Good to see you,
Much,
man. Yeah, we're good. We're just going through a quick demo
So I
here.
got 2 wounds on your truck.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
So a las cannon is minus, I want to say 3 to your
so
save.
5, 6. I get no save.
So you
No
get no
save.
save. These
D6
are
damage
D6 damage each.
Oh, wow.
So there's 5 more wounds, but you get your ramshackle thing because
Just
I do
in
more than
case.
one
Yeah,
wound.
so if I get a 6 or 2 6s, magically, the damage is reduced to 1.
So hold on. Against the 3 damage, roll it.
Nope.
No, so that is
And
3
the other
wounds.
damage. Nope.
No.
So I take
So
5, is
you
it?
take 5 damage.
So I'm down to, what is it, 9, down to 4?
Down to
Total?
4.
So now you're wounded.
Below half,
So
yeah.
you're below half. So now your movement's down. Your shooting is down.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
truck's hurting a little
It's
bit
hurting.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Each faction has like a focus on what it loses. I think I lose attack characteristics, move, and maybe strength. I'll
Okay,
double
so
check.
now this
Wanna check your roll play?
this chimera,
Go for a week.
Okay, sounds good.
this chimera is going to shoot into the truck as well.
Yep. There's no more facings on vehicles, so
Oh.
as long as it.
Also, because it's toughness and
You just
wounds
shoot.
now.
Yeah.
There's no more
Yeah,
armor
you just
front or
shoot,
sides or
and the
anything.
gun doesn't even have to be able to turn, which is a little bit crazy. Like the
Yeah.
heavy bolter on the front,
Yeah, I
can
can
shoot
shoot
out its
through
tailpipe.
myself and hit him.
Yeah, that
three
that I
six.
don't. That
So
happen.
the multi-laser hitting on 4s,
I understand it could be on a
5s.
turret.
Yeah, so
That
exactly.
makes
Sure
sense.
makes sense.
Yeah.
If it's 4
And
facings
the
like
heavy bolter also hitting on
Or if the
5s.
monstrous creature, you know,
Yeah.
but
Okay, this one is strength 6, this one's strength
That's one
5.
thing I don't
What's your
quite agree with.
toughness?
The
The toughness
you
is
can shoot
6?
anywhere.
Okay, so the heavy bolter.
maybe they'll FAQ it eventually.
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of people
T6,
do their
yep.
own house rules.
So
and
green
stuff.
dice is winning on
faces,
4s,
use
red
your
dice is winning on
Yeah,
5s.
That's it.
Yep.
Did I do anything? I
In
think so.
that case,
Four.
it actually makes a difference
Green was
whether
4.
it's a
What
turret
was
Okay, so
that?
that's a win.
Yep.
or it's spawn
All right.
something.
Yes.
Minus
All
No,
these
it's
things should
multi-laser.
come as
Yeah,
one.
But it's like Age of Sigmar
Four.
when
Right,
you know the whole shooting in combat and out of combat. People were
All right.
like, "Well, are they going to
This one is going to do the same thing.
You haven't touched it, so
Pew pew.
Multi-laser.
So he has flexibility. See how he's escaping
Yes.
his.
I'm escaping my doom and
Yeah.
then coming over here and shooting something else.
That's
And
good.
then
So that
in,
actually the
in
fallback-
true 8th edition fashion, I could
get
then
it recorded?
charge something else.
Oh, you.
It doesn't have to be something I shot at anymore.
Okay. So, but you can't unlimber. You
And
can't
it didn't
unload
advance.
after you load
You
up,
can
right?
only embark or disembark. You
Yeah.
can't do both in the same turn.
Yeah.
Unless you have units.
Unless it
Special-
says so in your battle
Well, I was gonna say there might be
scroll,
some that have
which it-
special abilities to do that, but
I very
Like
rare.
if you have a
I would
unit in
guess.
it and you want to get them out, and then the other unit has to end their move within 3 inches and get in. So you could do a swap.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's just the same unit can't
Can't do both,
can't
yeah.
do both. Because otherwise, Guard would be awesome. I would just disembark, shoot, and then
Get back.
embark
Yeah.
again.
yeah.
But anyways, he's going to shoot the multi-laser at the truck.
Okay.
2 hits. Wounding on 3s? No, 4s, because you're
Four,
covered 6.
6.
Nothing.
Okay.
This is typical Guard here. All right. That'd be
Well, Sentinels did
Bolter.
something. Come on,
Missed.
Sentinels
I'm
did-
just surprised he brought a friendly guard list.
Oh, we're
this
just
is
doing
this
the
is a demo game.
Did demo game.
No, no, I know.
All bets are off. The Lasgun Array, I
Mm,
believe,
yeah, what's that all
is...
about?
And usually this
it strength
guard,
four,
this-
probably?
this-
Oh, yeah.
You might as well just
No,
put
they're
your
just
model on the
strength
table and
3.
start packing them up already.
Yeah.
Why?
200 shots, 200 shots, 200 shots, 200 shots.
That still exists.
Most
just not
guard
as-
lists, when I used to play Tyranids, I have like, here's 300 gaunts, but
Right.
for some reason this guy's guard list, no, it's not happening.
I played a game yesterday against a Horde Tyranid,
Yeah.
and it did really well.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
charge turn
Well, no,
one.
normally against anybody, here's 300 gaunts. I don't care how many bolters or
Yeah, you're not
rail
gonna take
rifles
For each
you got,
Lasgun
you know.
Array
That's
is
also
rapid
what we
fire
go through,
3.
yeah.
Yeah. Usually
six
by
shots.
turn
So
2 I still
six-
have 150.
Yeah.
With
6
like 10
shots
months
for
creatures.
each one. I'm just going to do them both
But,
together.
I'm like, I'm
For
done
two
with
different,
words, since
uh,
I
No,
don't
this
have-
Lasgun Array
it's
and this
called-
Lasgun
It
Array.
has 2 Lasgun
It has
Arrays?
2 Lasgun Arrays, yeah.
Well, the cool thing about Horde
And it's
ammo
rapid
now
fire
is
3, eh?
when you're
Yeah.
going up against things that are like large weapons,
Yeah.
But I'm
it's
shooting
limited
at
effect on you.
Yeah.
shooting at a
It's
truck.
no longer
See,
you're taking
Oh,
out
trust me,
self-control
I
guys.
regret it now selling it.
rapid
Especially
fire.
no more instant
Okay.
deaths.
Rapid
so
fire
minus
is
warriors
like-
now.
Right.
if it's heavy. These are just hitting.
Oh, they're just. okay.
Okay.
I know.
And
Sounds good for
a
training. I
smart
got my
player
second set
before
of
would have
the
actually
depth
put
guard stuff.
that into
Oh,
the
yeah.
squad,
Yeah, so
right?
yeah, I have my,
Yeah.
my own set.
If it was a
Yeah,
competitive-
so-
Nice.
It's all
No.
good. It's all good.
Just to
I
show
want
it
some
for the
extra
computer.
primaries.
Yeah,
that's
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 extra
what
depth
I'll
guard.
actually do.
And
I'll
the
put
new
it
blight
into the
drones
boys.
don't even roll to
Okay.
hit; they automatically hit.
Really?
Yeah, they automatically the new blight drones instantly hit.
Well, most flamers do.
No, it's in the 9-inch range gun.
Wow.
But I mean,
It's the same idea.
Oh, yeah,
it's
but it
auto
just-
hitting.
it auto
So
hit.
these hit on 4s,
Yep. Beauty.
and for Nurgle that
That's
can move
not
8
terribly
inches,
good.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
but that's okay. And then these will be wounding on 5s.
So which website is all that's going to be
Just
recorded to?
Lasguns.
Well, it's right now. It's being live
And I got
streamed
nothing.
to
Okay.
Facebook.
Yep.
In
And
the
then-
basement.
and then we'll have it up
on our
as
YouTube.
well.
Oh,
Okay,
so yeah,
which,
that would be
Out of the
the
basement.
that'd be the end of the shooting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then what happens? Well, it
Anyways,
goes up, like,
good demo,
right-
Yeah, great demo, Mike.
Good demo.
So I'll finish more later.
So
Okay.
I think we're pretty much there, fellas.
Yeah.
Each of the major mechanics
I
in
could
each of
still
the major
assault
pages.
with the vehicles, but it's I think we've shown that already.
But I was going to talk
So-
about some more of the changes that came made because what you mentioned
Sure,
it correct.
for sure, yeah.
Primaris, Primarchs,
No, Primaris Space Marine.
Price Marines. Okay,
Mhm.
yes. So that's the one. Do you guys got the? Does it come with the basic kit, right? And there's some.
Yeah, so they
you
come with
have
the
the
starter
Imperium
box.
Index. I haven't actually seen much of their rules yet. I know they're still power level 6, which is
Yeah.
the same as my Space Wolves Grey Hunters, which are inferior. So I don't know how that works, but whatever.
Well, they put in the power levels, and then also on the back of each thing, they have the points, so you can go either or.
Yeah. Some
Yeah, but
people
it-
like the power levels because it includes all the free upgrades,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
don't
Well,
have to
it's
pay
also
for
fast and easy,
weapons.
right?
Yes,
It's like,
Are they
okay,
called
like
intercessor
quick pickup
squads,
games,
right?
but then if
Quick
you're going
and
to
dirty.
turn
They're
that
intercessors,
Yeah.
right?
they'll do
Yeah.
the
you
bonus.
do all the points. So
Yeah.
So here's the big difference between these Primaris Marines. I think they're called intercessor squads. So they're basically it's your regular tactical Marines, except they're called intercessors.
And they have 2 wounds.
Yeah, so they're power level 6, which is reasonable. It's the same as some other guys' tactical Marines.
yeah,
They have the same weapon skill hitting on 3s, ballistic skill hitting on 3s. They're still strength and toughness 4, 2 wounds, 2 attack space. So that's automatically better
They
right
get
there.
Extra attack.
Now I think you'll probably pay for them in points higher, but in power levels it's
Well,
the
also
same.
they're not allowed to go in certain vehicles, I believe, right? There's,
Yeah, if you go to some vehicles,
They
it
also
says
can't take
specifically.
special weapons too.
No.
Yeah, so but they have bolt rifles,
Yes.
and
that's
those are
true.
-1
Those
to
are-
rent, which is
And
nice.
long range.
30-inch.
30. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Now here's
Making
my
their
little
rapid fire
pitch,
15.
though. I feel this is a money grab for Games Workshop because here's a new model that people
Yeah.
are going to want to buy.
Well, not just that.
Space Marines are like, 60% of their company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah, yeah.
anytime something
But
happens,
here's
they're
one
going to
thing I
get.
noticed is when I was assembling the new Plague Marines, they're the same height and same size as the new Primaris.
Really?
Okay.
They're exactly same height.
So how are you supposed to tell the difference? Like,
Well, that's the thing. Like usually, Plague Marines are the same height as a regular Marine.
Right.
yes.
So the only thing I could see is maybe GW is trying to sneak a new upscale on the models.
Yeah.
So
Well, you
know,
notice
if
that
have-
a little bit with the base size is getting bigger back in
Well,
7th.
that
there.
too. So but the new Primaris, if you put a guardsman to it, fluff wise for a Marine and guardsman, it's
Well,
there.
My Death Corps are also Forge World models. So if you compare this to a regular guardsman, these guys are smaller.
Yeah, agreed.
The guardsmen are like the GW 28 heroic scale,
Right.
and
Yeah.
these guys are 28.
But that's the thing. Like I put a regular Plague Marine beside a new Death Guard, and they're almost like a head and a half taller.
Which works.
and if
But
you
No, but I mean the old school Plague Marines and the new Plague Marines.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh.
the new Plague Marines are the same height as the new Primaris.
Right.
That's weird.
and if you were to take like a new Plague Marine
Yeah.
and put it against a Forge World version of an Imperial Guardsman, it would be almost true scale.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at somebody who's between, let's say, 5'9" to 6'3" or 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, just running the
9
gamut
feet tall.
to like a 9 to 11 feet tall
But
space
the thing is,
marine,
so
right?
like I said, it just
It's
I
a little-
understand
it's
where
a
you're coming
pretty
from the
cool
fluff,
that
but
way.
it's sort of like really now you want people to buy more.
But not just that, all the chapters can use them too.
Yes.
So that's where I'm like,
Any Imperium player,
can use them.
I could put Primaris Marines in this army.
Yeah.
It's just like, for me, it's like that one of those ones like it's okay. You have to here's something new to buy as opposed to
Well, yeah. Well, the whole starter set is all Primaris. So
I'd
technically it's
rather-
its own army.
You know, it's up to the individual if you want to buy in.
No,
it's,
I know.
it's nice from a company perspective because they're like, here's stuff you can have.
Yeah.
It's, I hope
You
there's
know,
like good fluff
kinda neat.
behind it because that's
Yeah.
one thing I also like about Warhammer 40K is they actually have good fluff, right? Like it's not just
Their fluff is amazing.
Yeah.
People that don't even play the game, people that heard about them through the video game series.
Sure.
yes.
You know,
Well, see, I love
Or
the
just
books.
the books.
or the
Horse
books.
Heresy novels and all that. I really love
You
those
can
ones.
you can even go to a store as obscure as like Value Village and find 40K novels there, right? So there's people that have never touched table that
So
know
that's
about
what
the
I want.
universe.
I hope there's good fluff behind the Primaris.
It was. I didn't read the whole thing, but it's something about Reboot Gilliam there.
Yeah,
and
they
Brock.
found
Yeah.
Gave orders to
to do it
adapt
because he want. Well, his idea is he's going on
knew
the
the next
assault,
fight.
not
Yeah.
on the defense.
Yeah.
He's going on the attack. So they're doing this.
But to quickly talk about the power levels
Yeah.
for me, for Tactical Marines and Intercessor Squads is the same. When you go to the points, the base is 14 points for Attack Marine and 20 points for a Primaris Marine.
So it's slightly more expensive.
So at 6 points gets you an extra wound and an extra attack,
You take
which
that.
that's not bad. It's
Yeah.
going to last longer. And the next thing is that bolt rifle is zero
Well, that's-
cost.
Yeah, it's included in. Well,
But that's
not
the thing. If you're
included.
playing
It
a
is
500
included,
point
yeah.
army now, if you're playing a regular Marine, you might have double the
well, no,
amount
but
of
if you're doing the
models.
power level though, if you're doing
Oh,
the
yeah,
power
yeah,
level-
yeah.
if you're doing power level, you take the
It's the
Primaris.
same.
But let's say
You
you're
take-
playing in a small tournament,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yes.
500 points to 1,000. You might have double the models now.
Yeah.
So for objectives and all that kind of
But
stuff, you
It's
might.
not double though. It's 14 to 20, so it's not even
It's
26% more.
Yeah, it's about. It's almost.
and your
Yeah.
and your weapon rends.
Yes,
so
yeah, it's true.
-1 means that my boys get no armor save, or Attack Marine gets a 4
And also
instead
now
of a 3.
30-inch range. It's like that's
So it's
the other one, too, is
15% better for 15% more wounds will go through.
But
which is
the
nice.
the Primaris guys though, can they go up to a 10-man unit, or are they stuck at 5? Because I know they can't.
That
take
would be also something.
No,
I
they are
know-
5.
They're
They're five,
they're,
yeah.
they're
Stuck at
5.
5?
So
Yeah.
Space Marines can still have a 10-man squad and combat squad,
Yes.
which is a tactical advantage, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're not individually as good, but overall, like
But also,
regular tactical Marines are not out of the game because you
Yeah.
can take heavy weapons, you can take
Yeah.
special
Plasma,
weapons.
grav.
And
You need
I-
that.
Well, they're still the
And-
backbone for the. But
Exactly.
it's to see
They're
if
going
it's-
to remain that way.
as more
Yeah.
well because the fluff. Goodman wants more of these.
Yeah.
Early
Yeah.
Man wants to push.
But
Early
now,
Man wants
if
to
let's
push
say you're
more.
going to face, let's say, or a swarm list,
Yeah.
I would rather have the regular Marines because of the extra shots.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And you get more.
They're not-
more
like,
of
I
them.
might have a unit or two in the back of bolt rifle Primaris just for support and extra
Yeah.
long range because
Right.
who wants to get close to Tyranids or Orcs?
Yeah.
Right.
But extra shots and rapid. Well, I don't know if rapid fire is still in this, but
It is.
It is.
It is okay.
Yeah.
So like double shots.
Yeah.
But double attacks in close combat.
Oh no, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in
It's
combat,
pretty
they'd
tough.
still fight as a
there's-
10-man
it-
squad.
it depends on who you're facing. I mean, it's a rock paper scissors game. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But it does give it an extra. Like it's something else you can have.
Yeah.
No.
It's exciting that they came out with a new unit, in my opinion. I don't think it's an auto include, like you
No,
said.
yeah.
Attack
No,
Marines are
they're-
still like 50% of
Core.
your army,
Yeah.
but you have
Yeah.
two of these, two sets of
Well,
5 hanging
Well,
out.
like you said, like
30 inches is a lot on this
Yeah.
on a 4x6
You can
table.
finally
Dawn
outshoot
of
those
War.
fire warriors.
Yeah.
Or well, you deep
Damn.
strike them.
Yeah.
Draw deep.
The other
strike
thing
them.
too
That's
is like,
pod,
Yeah, but then you also have to watch out if somebody else deep striking and charging you right away. Now you just lost your Primaris.
with the other thing to consider here is now building a list, even with Battleforge lists, you can make lists that don't have troops at all.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to take one of the, I think there's 12 detachments.
Yeah.
There's some where it's take an HQ and I think it's
All
3
elites.
elites,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then that still gives you a command point. So you'd
Yeah.
have your 3 from being battle forged. You'd go up to 4. Here they are on these pages that Joe's showing.
So here's
you
your
don't
normal
need to
CAD.
take troops anymore.
Here's your normal CAD, which we all know and love. No explanation needed. The bigger the CAD,
more
you start at
benefit for command.
platoon, battalion, and then brigade. But then, just like Mike said, your elites, you're heavy, you're fast. You can basically take 1 and 3, and then
This
you
is
have
how
no
knights
troops.
will play their army. They'll take this CAD. So you take your 3 lords of war. It gives you a command point. The other thing, too, is like the CADs on the previous page are not. You fulfill this, then you can take these.
Yeah.
So you could, like, if I wanted to play guard and play all tanks, I would take. What is it called here? You could just take the spearhead detachment. I have tanks in my HQ, so that fulfills the HQ, and then I could just spam tanks out in the heavy support slot. So, gone are the days where you need 2 HQ and troops, and they were gone in 7th anyways. But now in 8th, it's just, if you liked formations with 7th, first of all, you should never have been playing the game. Formations were garbage.
They really were.
And then, if you liked that idea, you can still kind of do it. Especially within the Imperium, and you have the flexibility of
Yeah, it
taking,
was just gonna say, gives you
Marines,
the
Guard,
option,
and
the flexibility
Custodians
of doing
together in the
what
same list.
you want.
This is probably the best change that they've done to 40K. When you couple it with, earlier it says you can have so many detachments per game size. So if you're playing at 1,000 points or less, you're allowed a maximum of 2. So you can't spam as hard as you'd see some competitive guys like. Like you can't just make an army and say, well, I want 3 of these. At 1,000 points or less, you can't. At over 1,000, you can take 3. So there's still restrictions, but they're very, very loose.
Well, just from watching it, there's much more streamlined and faster combat. I mean, I know
Yeah.
we were jumping in quickly into different things, but even still, it was faster for the combat.
Playing the game properly would have taken maybe 10% more time.
Yeah.
But then again, when you consider in the banter, maybe not. Right?
No, that's
So
I think you would have been.
we would have been probably done a real game by now.
Because every 40K game needs banner, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna get ready to call it there. Do you want to wait for Joe to come back, or?
I think he'd like to say goodbye.
Yeah,
probably,
exactly.
But,
Yeah. So, but for us out of the basement, we'd like to again thank Kessel Run for letting us be here and stream this, and the Royal Tabletop Regiment guys.
yeah.
Always good to have, and yes, Zach from the
Brushfire
Brushfire
Studios. Yeah.
And it's been fun learning. Like, thanks again. Like, I know we just did a quick demo, so we just jumped back and forth into turns. But we're going to be doing more of these games and demos as we go along, and stuff like that. So, yeah, actually, Eric, can you just go say that Joe knows?
He's grabbing them. He's grabbing them.
I'd like to give a shout out to all of our viewers from around the world. We've got viewers from Latvia, Spain, Italy, Greece right now, as well as right here in our own backyard.
Well, yes, welcome worldwide then. Thanks everyone for those who are watching, and we are going to, like I said, we're going to keep doing these demo videos. Eventually get into like a real game, but the demo videos are nice and fast, and just getting used to the different rules and stuff like that. And Joe, thanks again for the Royal Tabletop Regiment guys, and bringing Zach.
Glad we're here. Glad we're here.
And any final thoughts or things to say? Or
Well, thanks for all your support for the basement guys. Obviously, our online presence is 100% because of you guys, so really appreciate it.
No problem.
If you're in the Ottawa area and you're like, hey, I want to do some gaming, make sure you join the RTTR on Facebook.
Find us on Facebook.
yeah, and they don't just do Warhammer 40K.
We do historical. We do Age of Sigmar. Infinity's getting big. Batman miniatures is getting big.
Oh, Batman miniatures. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
with Jason.
we have online. We have over 100 members.
Yeah.
Some of those are
And
just
also
wanting to see us on
basic-
Facebook.
even some role-playing games as well.
Yeah.
Board games as well.
You know what? Just find us. We'll play whatever you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Kessel Run, they have board game nights and role-playing nights and everything. And this room is wonderful. Like the one called Mordor is great for a big game if you want to have it there. So.
Yeah, appreciate the help today. Thanks a lot. We, real plug. Honestly, 8th edition is the best edition I've personally played. Mostly because like a few of us.
Play an Assault Army.
I play Assault Army. I'm just basically within 30 minutes of reading the rules, everything just became a lot easier. And so it's good for people that are like, hey, should I get into it? I have $150 in my pocket. Go on Kijiji, buy yourself
For $100, you can play 8th.
Yeah, but go buy a secondhand army, and the rules are pretty much going to come up for free at some point. The little Imperium Codex is $30, and it has all your
They're
stuff in it.
worthwhile.
And all of a sudden, you're playing a game that'll take anywhere from an hour to 3 hours for
Well,
a big
you
game.
said you had a 2,000-point game in 2 hours.
2 hours.
2
Wow.
hours. Well, you
Never.
said it, right?
Yeah, never has it been that.
I cannot
quick.
imagine.
Takes longer to deploy now.
Well, that's just it.
The other thing I want to mention, if you do want to try one of these games and you want to come out and play with the RTTR guys, we do have loaner armies.
Yes.
So if money is the only thing keeping you from playing, come find us. We'll set
And
you up.
also terrain.
Well, we have enough train to fill.
Kessel
what
Run
do we do?
with
12
everyone's-
tables?
Enough for Kessel Run
Yeah.
itself.
Exactly, no, which is great.
We
So
brought
that's
all the
been
terrain.
a really good thing as well. So thanks a lot for all our watchers. Devrim and I, like I said, we'll do more stuff as well coming up. But that's it.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Internet.